Morning, baby Jules.
Baby Jules first in the house. Morning, Spitz. How is everybody? Last show for a week and a half.
Amen.
Unless you guys just can't get enough. Yeah, that's right, Spitz. All right, Coffin Baugh. Morning. Napo. Is that Napo Jules? Or is it Napogalese?
I don't know. It's a new person. Way to be. I've
Hey,
not
Napo.
seen you. I've not seen you in here before. Welcome.
I know. Morning, Napo. Doug. Wancho. Well, if there's nothing to watch, I mean, just consider it like the Earthquake World Series. You know, we're going to go away for a little over a week, then we're going to come back. You're not going to miss anything. Is that like a hitting streak, Coffin Baugh? Did you just break DiMaggio? Correct, Coffin Baugh. Best of, not on Twitch. You just have to download a station's app, depending on where you are, or download the Action News Jax app. There you go. Oh, wow. That'll be cheap. Whew. Daughter asked me the other day when we're going to take the granddaughter to Disney. I said, when she's 14, I'll be saving up.
I don't know, dear. When are you going to take your daughter to Disney?
So I had to remind her, you know, I'm not an employee of ESPN. Don't think I get the discount. I'll ask, though.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Final Friday of June. Final work day of June. Final work day for Miller and Moulton for a while. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Hope you've had a good week. Thanks for ending it with us. Mark, I know your week began with you under the weather, not feeling well. You've had a very good T-shirt week, by the way.
Thank you.
You have. People loved your Hams T-shirt yesterday.
The Hams Beer T-shirt, purchased at a Kmart about 17 years ago. Still in great shape. Don't know how. But like some T-shirts last. Others fall apart and you throw them away.
Yep.
Some T-shirts just are made better. That was one of those T-shirts that was made perfectly.
Some T-shirts are indestructible.
And that's that T-shirt.
In fact, some T-shirts, at least I've had this problem. I don't think you've ever gotten this big, but some T-shirts, they end up looking at you going, listen, I'm still good enough to wear, but you're outgrowing me.
Oh, no. David, come on now. I'm not a small man. I've outgrown clothes.
No, you're not a big guy at all. You get, occasionally you get, as Dan Patrick would say, beefy. Occasionally you throw a little beef on for the winter.
Well, that stomach flu was a big help. I'm not going to lie, because I was getting beefy.
And it came right before a family vacation.
Right.
This will be good. Photos will look better and everything. All right. But final show of the week, best of Miller and Moulton next week. So we won't be on Twitch for those of you who take us in on Twitch, but you'll be able to listen on the radio or download us on whatever app it is that you take us in on during the time that you take us in. Best of Miller and Moulton next week. We'll be back in earnest a week from Monday, July 8th. Out of nowhere last night, ladies and gentlemen, a text came from one Mark Miller to myself and to our former producer, our first producer, and because we still keep in touch. And man, oh man, it is so enjoyable. The one time every 2 to 4 years that Mark Miller gets really bent out of shape about the U.S. men's national soccer team.
We lost to Panama. Panama.
We did. We
did. Lost.
It's not
again. We lose all the time. I am so sick of watching Alexei Lawless sit up there and tell us how great this national team is and all the potential. Potential my ass. I have had it.
Ladies and gentlemen, some of this ends up being conveyed in a text or two. It's bottled up for years at a time, 2 to 4 years at a time, and then it comes out. Continue, Mark.
So yesterday, I had a really spectacular evening.
All right.
One of the guys that I play golf with decided we were going to have a little tournament yesterday, a little 2-man scramble at the club, 5:15 start. So everybody's off the course. 8 of us out there, carts everywhere, just bedlam, lots of fun.
Rapid fire pace of play too, right?
Yes.
Boom.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Everybody had a few drinks. Everybody's in a good mood. We go up to the clubhouse after, and they've got golf on TV. And I looked at Alejandro, the bartender. I'm like, Alex, come on, where's the soccer? And he just gave me that look. He goes, I'll put it on for you. I went, what? He goes, they're losing. I said, to Panama?
Panama.
Right. And I've got you singing David Lee Roth in my ear.
Panama.
Oh. And okay.
Did Alex at least give you, and by Alex, I don't mean Alex Van Halen, did Alejandro or Alex give you at least a quick explanation as to how this could happen, besides the conclusion that you immediately came to, which is we suck?
Is there any other? I don't care if we play Panama with 8 guys.
Well, we decided to try it with 10. And it's a lot harder when, Mark, you and I are hockey guys. When you're shorthanded the whole game, unless you're the Edmonton Oilers, it's hard.
Look it. First off, yes, we got a red card very early in the game.
Yeah, 16th or 18th minute, something.
Game
like
was
that.
very chippy.
Yes, yeah. Even they get late, very late, 88th minute. They took a guy off for Panama as well with a red card. So the final, it ended up being 7 minutes. Final 7 minutes, it was 10-on-10.
We can't go into a shell and play defense for a game and get a 0-0 tie like everybody else in the world does.
Well, glad you brought that up. We'll have Tommy Smyth on the show in a couple of hours. Some people questioning our coach and the strategy, just what you said. You maybe also make a substitute in which you go a little more defense. You play a certain style. Apparently, Mark, I don't know what they're talking about. I'm just, I'm a casual fan. I'm trying to learn. All right. But yes, apparently there's substitutions you make. You change the zone, if you will. All right, you want to play man to man.
Maybe you throw a little 1-3-1 at him. Maybe you throw a 2-3. Maybe you go Syracuse, David. I don't know, but you don't lose 2-1 to Panama.
That's apparently, Mark, exactly what it is. Okay, you want to play man to man, but because of foul difficulty or a guy turned his ankle, whatever analogy you want to use, you now have to switch to the vaunted Syracuse 2-3 zone. And apparently,
we think we're gonna compete in a World Cup. We might not make it out of group in Copa America.
A group that apparently we're supposed to fly through. So
we're going to get beat in the next game, too. We play Uruguay. That's the best team in the group. That's a legit World Cup team.
Oh, no. See, I actually think this is a good thing.
Of course you do.
No. Listen, I'm not.
Give me it glass half full, lose to Panama, and this is a good thing.
Well, it's not glass half full. It's definitely glass fully empty, but I think it's a good thing. Okay, because there is no spin to this. There isn't. The excuses absolutely positively need to stop. Here's the other thing. You look at the room now and you go, guess what? We want to accomplish something in a World Cup. What are we going to have to do? We're going to have to beat the Uruguays of the world. I mean, we've only won one match outside a group in the last 70 years of the World Cup. We got to a quarterfinal in, I think it was 2002. Okay, that's the only time. Mark, we have been able to, a little more than half the time, make it out of the group that we're in over the last 30 years. But then we lose. We lose in the round of 16 every time. We've only won one match in the round of 16. Basically, we're 2 the Dolphins, we're Dak and the Cowboys. Once we have to start playing the good teams, we lose. Okay, and now I would look at
that's giving USA Soccer too much credit. We're not the Dolphins. We don't make the playoffs very often.
Well, in World Cup, we get out of group half the time. Okay, we do. We get out of group half the time. We lose, though. Boom. Round of 16, we lose. And what I would now look at them and say, hey, we did it to ourselves, first off. There's nobody to blame here. And we're going to have to beat the Uruguays of the world, in theory, in the round of 16. Okay, so we might as well start doing it now. I mean, if you want to talk about it, what it is you want to be and do and what have you, well, you might as well move the clock up 2 years. Seriously, okay? You've got to beat Uruguay or else it's over in this tournament, which is a fairly significant tournament. Well, then go out and do it, damn it. Go do it. It's time to start beating good teams. And if we don't, then get new coaches and get new players. Supposedly we have talent, Mark. Supposedly we genuinely have talent on this group. Then if they're not being coached right, then get rid of the damn coach tomorrow. Okay, enough. Enough. Are we taking this seriously or not? And by the way, I'd look right at the guy who apparently has represented us very well for years, who did this stupid incident and got the red card. Look right at him and go, just so you know, your U.S. international career is on the line on Monday. Just so you know. You let the whole damn room down. Never mind the front of the jersey.
Because it was a legit red card.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. Should have been kicked out.
Don't...
Absolutely. We didn't get screwed. No, it was stupid. Idiotic. Guy lost his mind. What the heck? No, that's it. Now it's time to start winning. Enough excuses. Enough. The younger generation, they do the chants and what have you, the 30 and under. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We've been hearing it since the 90s.
The only thing I believe is that we're going to blow another game.
Right.
That's what we do.
I believe we're going to lose. That's our chant. Your chant is, I believe we're going to win. Then win something.
Because you haven't, ever.
And by the way, beating Mexico is not enough because they're a train wreck. They're not an elite team anymore. I don't know if they even qualify as a good team anymore. Haven't for a while. So the fact that we're beating them more times than not now, big whoop. Okay? What do you have to go through in soccer? Even those of us who don't know a lot about soccer, what do you have to go through? Europe and South America. That's who you got to beat. You got to beat the teams in Europe, the teams in South America. Let's go.
And we don't beat any of them.
Mark, if I was running USA Soccer, I'd be like, who's the college football team we think schedules hardest? I would, by the way, I'd be like when Bobby Bowden built Florida State. I'd line them all up. Let's play them all. Play everybody. Don't care. Sometimes we might get beat 5-1. Okay. But you know what? We're going to start winning these 1-0 and 2-1 one day. So I'm glad we're in this situation. You know what? I don't want to wait till 2026 in the World Cup. No, boys. It's time to deliver now. You put yourself in this situation. Go win the damn match Monday. You can do it. You can.
Pitiful.
Unbelievable. I mean, down 10. All right.
So I'm done. I got the soccer off my chest.
So you're not spinning it like I am? You're not saying, you know what? Good. Let's face this now.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I love your thought, and I love where you're at with this. It's refreshing to see that you think this can be turned around. But I've seen this act too many times, and the fact of the matter is, we just don't turn it around. It's more of the same year after year.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Todd, have you noticed every jewelry store in town sounds like a broken record?
I do. We're all saying and claiming the same thing. Largest selection, lowest prices, non-commissioned sales team. It's the same tune over and over.
Exactly. It's just
Okay, poll question. Do we go USA Soccer or the fact that Mel Brooks is 98 today? Do we go, do you want to live to be 98?
Who had a worse day, USA Soccer or the NFL? Yeah, okay. We'll ask people, you want to live? Want to keep living? Or do you like, either that or we could ask which Mel Brooks movie
Yeah.
like best.
Blazing Saddles, History of the World, Spaceballs.
Sure. Sonny, I didn't watch, but I did see a few comments on X. Young Frankenstein. There were so many. We're leaving out good ones. Ryro, I actually think the Giants quarterback group's better. Golly.
David, I just put the Athletic app on. The first thing that happened was an article about guys that are going to get dealt in baseball. Before I clicked on it, the front page changed. Now I can't find the article about the guys that are getting traded in baseball.
I don't get it, too. It's owned by the New York Times, and New York Times website's not like this. I don't get it. Don't get it.
I went to the MLB page, can't find. I hate the Athletic.
And the content is so good. No, it is not, EB. No. We intentionally stay away. We decided, for better or worse, a long time ago that you all have enough politics in your life. You need a safe haven.
It's pretty funny,
Sure.
okay, music.
And we're talking, okay, music, we're talking about this November. We think he has a shot.
I may write him in.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Last live show for a little over a week. Best of Miller and Moulton all next week. So we won't be on Twitch, but we'll be on every radio station that we're on and every app that we are on. So you can stream us and listen and what have you. Some of the stuff, obviously, you may have heard before, but put it together. It's fairly entertaining. At least we think so. All right. Brought back some of our better interviews, and there you have it. So enjoy the 4th, and we'll see you again a week from Monday on the 8th. But we've got some stuff to talk about today as we wrap up June and this week. So, Mark, this just in, if you own an NFL team, you've got money.
This is very true.
Even
in
Mark,
you have oogles of it.
right. Even Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, who's very poor if you're in the NFL Owners Club. But if you're amongst the rest of society, he's loaded. I will say there's going to be an appeal or two, and this could end up at least before the Supreme Court. But the NFL had a really bad day yesterday.
They lost a lot of money.
In theory, yeah. Even for them. I mean, this actually gets the attention of an NFL owner or two. Like, wait, what? Wait, what? So we have not talked about this case much because we were basically waiting for yesterday. Is that fair to say?
100%. because the NFL's track record in court's been so good until they lost. What's worth bringing up a case that they're involved in?
I mean, the one time they really lost, they lost $1, and it was tripled. And they lost, and yet their competitor went out of business. It's a pretty good loss. So a jury in federal court yesterday in California said that the NFL violated antitrust laws with the whole Sunday ticket thing. Huh. I'll be darned. So how much are you going to make them pay in damages? And listen, we could debate this. I mean, should they have to pay any in damages, or should they just have to, go about it differently from this point forward? Well, Mark, somehow, some way, the jury came up with 4.7 billion. Well, remember, it's federal court. You know what they can do in federal court? They can, what's it called? Treble?
Yes.
Which essentially is triple.
Mm-hmm.
So times 4.7 times 3. That's 14.1 billion, ladies and gentlemen. That even gets the attention of the National Football League. I mean, that's like 3/4 of a year's revenue generated. But also do the math. 14.1 billion divided by 32. Tell me what you get. I'll do the math for you. You get about $450 million bucks. Now listen, we all know who these owners are, okay, except in Green Bay, in which apparently, man, cost of business is going up in Green Bay. But for the other 31, I mean, 450 million bucks. I mean, is this like, what's the movie? Eddie Murphy and Don Amici and Trading Places?
Trading Places, yeah.
And at the end of the movie, they do the call, and Mortimer and them have lost everything. And they're like, we don't have the money. Well, sorry, you're going to lose your seats. I mean, when this comes in, eventually it's like Goodell's got to get on the speakerphone and go, well, boys, each of you needs to cut that check for $450. I'm sorry, what, Raj? Yep. We need it.
How about the guy in Washington just bought the team?
I was going to say, he just spent, what,
$6
billion? Wait, you need another $500 million? Wait a minute. I wasn't even here when you guys did this. Call Snyder, for goodness sake. Why do I have to pay this? Yeah. 450 million bucks. I don't know, Mark. That seems like a lot of money to me. And I'm thinking of myself as an NFL owner right now. And that still seems like a lot of money. Hell, I even thought before they tripled it, even the original damages, 4.7 billion divided by 32. That's like $1.50. Even that would get my attention. Wait, you can triple this? Son of a... Mark, I'm not kidding. I don't think Mark Davis has the cash.
I'm wondering how many. I mean, if they made that call, would they all be? I mean, that's significant. Hey, we need $500 million.
Yeah, pretty much. That's cash, by the way. Yeah, we need it end of the
right.
week. Now, this is going to take years. They're going to file an appeal, and then they're going to file another appeal. I mean, people were joking yesterday over under 3.5 years before either this goes away. Well, the first appeal, by the way, they're appealing to the judge who oversaw this case, because apparently it was an 8-person jury that awarded this, but the judge could vacate it. And apparently the NFL is asking the judge to vacate it. Yeah. Or the judge can lessen the damages or what have you. So first off, nothing's going to change in the short term in terms of how we're getting the games, because it's on appeal. But 450 million.
Well,
cash.
It's not just 450 million too, because if this were to hold up, it would change the way games are distributed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It would virtually end Sunday Ticket as we know it.
Correct. Now, apparently, the smoking gun, which was presented by the prosecutors on Wednesday in their closing arguments, was a memo going back however many years that essentially the NFL had it laid out where all of the games individually would be able to be seen on a network. And the networks would pay X amount of money per game. And apparently, Mark, if you add up the money that the networks and cable companies would be paying per game, it would essentially equal the same revenue as Sunday Ticket for the league. And the prosecutors believe that that smoking gun was a big reason why they won. So in theory, Mark, like we joke the NCAA basketball tournament and they put it on 4 channels and, it's the one time a year we all watch True TV. That apparently that's what could happen down the road if the NFL truly does lose this on appeal. That where is Sunday Ticket now? It's not DirecTV,
YouTube.
it's YouTube. That I don't know if that, I mean, that would seem to me to be okay, right? Or no? 'Cause
No,
you have to buy the whole thing,
you got to
right?
buy the whole thing. I mean, this could mean that we get to buy individual teams. It could
Right.
mean that what David talked about, that basically every game would be on every week and networks and streaming services would be paying for it. We'd end up getting stuck a little bit that way because we'd have to buy more streaming services at some point, I'm sure.
But literally every game would have been, True TV would have the Arizona Cardinals game, and this channel would have this, and this channel that, and you could just go find your channel and watch your team's game.
Like we do on Saturday.
Correct. So what I am curious about is that we didn't think there would be anything that would hurt the NFL's bottom line going forward. I wonder if this will impact the bottom line. But that memo indicates it wouldn't, that essentially they would just find a bunch of TV providers to make up the same amount of money that they were getting now from YouTube.
And that's how I read it as well, is that it's the NFL, David. They'll figure out a way to get their money.
And in fact, what I saw somebody say, Mark, was that if every owner's got to come up with $450 million, that we'll get a pay-per-view Super Bowl soon.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Todd with the Diamond District. I believe in
I don't know if you've heard the story. I just happened to be scrolling quickly there and saw a picture of De Niro and Rickles from Casino. Quentin Tarantino showed up on the set of Casino.
Okay.
Loved Scorsese, obviously, and worshipped him and all that. He gets on the set. Rickles knew Tarantino somehow. He walks on the set, and Rickles goes, "Oh, finally someone here that can work. Finally a director. Get Scorsese out of here." It goes off on one of his rants. Tarantino said he wanted to go into the corner and hide. He was so scared at that point.
I'll bet they were howling.
Oh,
Because you saw the one scene where De Niro forgets his line and they're at the bar in his house and Rickles just eviscerates him.
you and your
method acting. Like reaches behind the bar, grabs a fake piece of paper like it's a script, and goes, "See, it's your effing line right here." You and your method acting. Golly. One of the last times I saw Rickles on Letterman, he told the joke about the Mexicans in Vegas turning down his, the sheets on his bed and what have you. And the crowd goes, "Ooh." And Rickles goes, Hey, how much did you pay to get in here tonight? That's a funny joke. Letterman's just shaking his head, realizing, yeah, well, Don can say whatever he wants. That's why I voted Blazing Saddles in our poll question. I voted for the movie they can't make today.
Oh, exactly.
So how's everybody doing, huh? Week okay? People got plans for the 4th? We traveling? We staying home? Barbecuing? What are we doing? Don't you think a lot of people are going to be taking Friday off next week?
Yeah.
A lot of 4.5-day weekends next week. People leaving around lunchtime Wednesday.
And we're doing the opposite. We're actually coming back. We got our place through the 4th, coming back on Thursday.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's just when we could get it.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably hit. Yeah.
Here we go.
That's funny, Roderick.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Today's a special day. I'll explain in a second. Welcome back. 22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. See, we think we're pretty good at admitting our faults where we come up short as a show. And there may be no area that we come up more short than, poll questions. But you know what? We've got a good one today, especially when you consider the one we nearly went with. little behind the curtain. Mark Miller, responsible for today's poll question, the concept, the premise, everything. Mel Brooks is 98 today, right?
98 years old.
And so, Mark, our poll question, boy, it looks really good. Smart. Look at these guys. That's a fun question. We put 4 movies up there. We're honoring Mel Brooks, 98 years old. Which one of these movies is your favorite?
And I understand with the catalog of movies that Mel Brooks said, we may not have yours up there. We went with 4 of our favorites.
Right. Once again, Miller and Moulton pulling rank. But Mark, what was the question in honor of Mel Brooks that you nearly went with?
Do you want to live to be 98?
And here's the thing where Miller and Moulton are at today. We both thought it was a really good question and a fair question. And then I forget which one of us said, so are we really asking people if they want to continue living?
Living, right. But to 98, it's
a long time. It is. It is. I could see where you'd raise your hand at some point and go, you know what? I'm tapping out. I get it. So, so if you want, you can answer that question as well. 21,000 on the text line or in our Twitch chat room. All right. But we went with
like Clark says in the Twitch chat room. Nah, I'm good. 90 is my mark. Check me out here. It's it.
So, if you want, you could let us know if you'd like to live to be as old as Mel Brooks, who's 98 today. Happy birthday. An American treasure. Or you could just vote on our poll question in which Mel Brooks movie you like the best. And without further ado, it is time for
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, you know what? Just for the heck of it, we'll start with the NBA. Round 2 of the draft yesterday. The headlines: Duke's Kyle Filipowski, who's a poor guy who was stuck in the green room and didn't get drafted. So he came back, a second pick of the second round. He went to Utah. Marquette's Tyler Kolek, their good point guard. Knicks traded up 4 spots to take him with the 4th pick of the second round. Heat moved down 1 spot and took a shooting guard from Arizona, Pal Larson. Orlando traded out of the second round with New Orleans, who then took Antonio Reeves, a shooting guard from Kentucky. We're going to talk to the play-by-play guy for the Magic in an hour, and I'm going to ask him, hey, I have a question. You guys need shooting, right? You guys need to guard scoring from the backcourt. Why would you trade out of a spot when a kid from Kentucky who shot 45% from 3 was available? Am I missing something? All right. That may only interest me. But, of course, the headline, the Lakers took Bronny. Oh, it was a shocker. Okay, Mark. I want you to put your red Auerbach hat on. We didn't talk about this yesterday. That's a failure on my part because this was on my mind. So the Lakers were picking 55th.
Right.
The Celtics were picking 54th.
Yes, they were.
LeBron, throughout his illustrious history, there's really only one team and one city that he has really been negative about. And it goes back to him in Cleveland with the Heat, the whole deal. Not a fan of Boston. Not a fan of the Celtics. Not. And has said so publicly. Putting your red Auerbach hat on, if you were Brad Stevens, would you have taken Bronny at 54 to totally LeBron?
I would have wanted to, but David, I don't think he'll ever play in the league. He's drafted and he may get some time. I don't think he's good enough. So wouldn't have wasted my time with the pick. But I love where your head's at.
And you know me, Mark. What would I have done?
You'd have taken him.
You're damn right I would have. You're damn right I would have. And I actually would have said out loud the reason why. We've never said a bad thing about you. We've never done anything to you. Okay? This is, you know what they say, LeBron. It's yeah. So, yeah, you can call, by the way. You can threaten and don't care. Don't care. I'm like Ricky Gervais.
Go to Australia. It doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me at all. NHL drafts tonight, at least the first round. They handed out the awards last night. Colorado's Nathan McKinnon won the Hart, the MVP award. He also won the Ted Lindsay. That's essentially the player of the year from the players. Kucherov finished second for both. from the Lightning, apparently. Connor Bedard from the Blackhawks won the Calder, the Rookie of the Year award. Winnipeg goalie Connor Hellebuck won his second Vezina. You know, it'd be nice if he could stop the pucks in the postseason, though. I mean, you know, in a way, he was kind of like Bobrovsky till the last 2 years. I mean, Bob had, had stopped the pucks in the regular season. Great. Postseason, been a little sketchy. Quinn Hughes, the defenseman from Vancouver, he's got 2 other brothers in the league. He won the Norris Best Defenseman. And Oilers GM Ken Holland. I don't know. Roster looks pretty good. Seems to have done a decent job. Yeah, they hate each other, apparently, the Oilers and Ken Holland. They couldn't divorce fast enough.
He's a bad GM.
Well, I did a better job than the guy before him, though. I mean, he has upgraded that roster. Well, anyway, he's gone. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. What does he care? He's got the cups with the wings. What does he care about? Soccer. The U.S. lost to Panama yesterday in Copa America.
Panama!
2-1 the final. We were a man down in the 18th minute. Tim Way, I think. Anyway, just stupid, idiotic, lost his mind. Should have been red carded, and he was. And then we scored like 5 minutes later. Tremendous goal. Lead 1-0. But Panama tied it 5 minutes later, and then in the 83rd minute, they scored the winner. U.S. taking on group favorite Uruguay next, and they'll likely need a win to advance. And to give you an idea, the U.S. beat Bolivia 2-0. Uruguay beat Bolivia yesterday 5-0. So there you go. USA men's soccer, once again, coming up short. Women's soccer news. Alex Morgan left off the U.S. women's Olympic team.
Very popular player.
And one of the all-time greats. There's 5 less players allowed on the roster for the Olympics than a World Cup. They only allow 18 for the Olympics. They allow 23 for a World Cup. I will say she's 34. She has not had a good year, and she's had an injured ankle. So, but it's a lot like when the U.S. left Landon Donovan off the team 10 years ago. Donovan was actually playing better at the time than Morgan is right now. All right, baseball. Marlins rallied. They were down 3-0 in the 7th. They scored 7 runs in the final 3 innings, beat the Phillies 7-4. And that's not the bad news for the Phillies. Bad news is Schwarber, playing left field for just the 3rd time all season, reached down to pick up a ball in the 9th, hurt himself. And Bryce Harper, in the 9th, final play of the game, hurt his hamstring. That's not good. Marlins over the Phils 7-4. Braves couldn't take advantage, even though Chris Sale was terrific. 7 innings, 1 run, 11 strikeouts, but he gave up a solo homer to Luis Robert Jr. in the 1st, and that's all that the White Sox needed. 1-0 over Atlanta. Yankees, they 4th straight loss. They're not, and not only that, these games aren't close.
No, they can't get anybody out, David.
No,
they're just giving up run after run after run after run.
Mets scored 21 runs in 2 games against them. Toronto, who's been terrible, beat them 9-2 last night. George Springer, 2 3-run homers. That's a good day at the office. Baltimore, 11-2 over Texas. Orioles hit 4 homers. And the Orioles now technically marked by percentage points in first place in the East. Kansas City, with 2 in the 6th, beat the Guardians 2-1, which allowed both the Royals and the Twins to gain a game on Cleveland because the Twins beat Arizona 13-6. Minnesota's still 7 back, however. Cubs had lost 4 in a row. They were about to get swept in a 4-gamer in Frisco until Ian Happ hit a 2-run homer in the 10th. Cubs beat the Giants 5-3. Our Reds scored in 6 innings last night, Mark, and beating the Cardinals 11-4. Angels have won 4 in a row. They hit 3 homers, beating the Tigers 5-0. Are those young players for Detroit ever going to hit or no?
No. I mean, Ryan Green's okay. Torkelson got sent down. He's terrible.
Unbelievable. That's all the games that were played in baseball yesterday. Did you hear 2 things? All-Star game, Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, top vote getters. So they're already in. Ohtani is apparently not going to compete in the home run derby. And Judge has already indicated that he's not interested either. Ohtani's not going to participate because they say that the strain of the home run derby will affect his recovery from Tommy John surgery. I don't know if that's true or bogus. I don't. We talked about this earlier. A jury in Los Angeles in federal court ordered the NFL, I should say, to pay more than $4.7 billion in damages, ruling that the league violated antitrust laws with Sunday Ticket on DirecTV. Damages in federal court can be tripled, so the NFL could be on the line for over $14 billion. If not overturned on appeal, that means every team will have to come up with $450 million. Whew. Big East has a new media rights deal. Fox is still the main carrier, but NBC and TNT also going to get some Big East basketball. Golf, round one of the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit. Akshay Bhatia. You know, he was the trendy pick to win this week. Goes out and shoots an 8 under 64. He's got a one-shot lead. The 15-year-old from Jacksonville Beach, Miles Russell, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys, and a double. He shot a 2 over. The cut's going to be low. Cut's going to be like 3 under. So he's going to have to shoot a 67 today if he's going to want to see the weekend. But still, 15 years old, PGA Tour event, shoots a 74.
He's little too.
5'7", $135.
I mean, you know, you see him out there. I watched a good chunk of it yesterday, and he did get a lot of airtime, David, as you told us he would towards the end of our show yesterday. But man, oh man, he's 15. He looks 15. You know, I mean, he.
Just
A
for the
couple
record,
of funny stories though with that at the Detroit Golf Club, very old, prestigious golf club in Detroit, Michigan. The men's locker room, you are not allowed to enter the men's locker room unless you are 16 years of age. They made an exception this week so he could have a locker. I thought that was a fun little story. And obviously the courtesy car that they give all the players, his dad has to drive his courtesy card because he's not old enough to drive.
Just for the record, he beat 20 PGA Tour pros yesterday. He's tied with like a dozen, and he beat 20 of them. And that, Mark, at 8 minutes before the hour was...
That was the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So I think he's got a morning tea time today, so I don't think you're going to see much of him.
Unless you want to go ESPN Plus, it'll be on.
Right, that's true.
I mean, David, if there's an event on, there's a streaming service that has it. Don't kid yourself.
Well, that's true. We just have to find it. It's out there. We just have to find it. Miller and Moulton. So I am intrigued, but I wish this NFL thing would reach its final decision soon, which I guess if the judge throws it out, which he could do, that would do it. Do you know this all started because of a sports bar?
Right. I believe, was it in California, the sports bar that started this whole
like
thing?
the Mucky Duck or
That's
something
the name
like
of it.
that?
You're exactly right. Not the one in Captiva.
No.
But, there are more than one Mucky Duck out there. Yes.
Apparently it was a sports bar. I don't know if it's still in business in San Francisco. And they originally lost. The suit got thrown out. And then the judge said, no, the suit's got validity. 7 years ago, by the way, this judge said this. So it took from that to now just to get the verdict. Now we're going to start the appeals process. The Mucky Duck is going to take down the NFL.
Many have tried. Most have failed.
There's a 30 for 30 here somewhere, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton?
We are breaking down the NBA draft today.
Yeah, just I threw a lot of lines in the water,
And when I
and
say yes, you
get back what you get back. But fortunately, they're spaced out.
David, they're guests. I'm ecstatic with them.
But come on, we got Tommy Smyth.
Oh.
I thought you would just jump off the page when you saw it.
I'm so excited. I loved it. I can't wait to call him. You might not interview him.
That's fine. That's fine.
So did they really get into an argument last night over their golf handicaps?
Who?
There's something about golf in the debate and they question each other's golf handicaps during the debate.
Please.
I didn't watch a second of it.
No, not a second, please.
What, Sonny? Where did you see this? Yeah, I think it's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. A 10-year-old daughter that acts better in restaurants than most adults.
I don't know why we want to. How many more restrictions do we want to keep putting on people? I thought this was supposed to be the country of freedoms. I love the fact that the Florida legislature keeps passing stuff and DeSantis keeps vetoing it. Wait a minute. I thought the legislature and him were like, the legislature's turning around going, what are you doing? It's like, I don't like that. Like, what do you mean you don't like that? We only do the stuff you like. I don't like that. See, now that he doesn't have to run for re-election, it's about little things too,
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. It's the final Friday of June. It's our final work day of June. A reminder, best of Miller and Moulton next week. We'll be off, so we'll still be on the radio. We'll still be on the app. We will not be on Twitch for those of you that take us in on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Our poll question, you know what? We actually think this is a good one. This is a good one that other radio shows in the country might actually use it. Normally, that is never the case. But in honor of Mel Brooks turning 98, what is your favorite Mel Brooks movie? Now, as Mark pointed out earlier, there's a very good chance that if another radio show, they could steal the question and put 4 totally different movies than the ones that we put down. Young Frankenstein, History of the World, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs. Blazing Saddles right now a runaway winner.
Well, it should be. It's the right answer. And all the movies are great.
And thankfully, somebody just voted for Young Frankenstein. When the segment started, when you played the music, Young Frankenstein had a donut on the board. Somebody has now voted for Young Frankenstein. All right.
Abby Good. Normal.
So there you have it. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X, MillerandMoulton.com. That's how you can vote on the poll question. The great Mel Brooks, 98 years of age. We started with football. Mark, it's a football Friday.
Not in this country.
No.
In this country, it's a loser football Friday.
Wow. I don't know. Are you taking this hard? Like, because you sound like you've gone from mocking the U.S. men's national soccer team, which you've done for a generation. It sounds like, though, the American citizen sports fan in you is now fed up.
I am, because for the longest time, David, we didn't have the talent. It was a joke. Go back, I don't know, however many years that you and I went to that great Mexican restaurant and watched the U.S. get destroyed by Poland.
Right, 2-0. Yep.
But destroyed.
But boy, they had the original Pepsi from Mexico in the glass bottles. It's so much sugar in it. I'm testing positive for things because of those 2 Pepsis we had that day.
Right.
Great.
But if you remember that game, we were completely outplayed. This is a game we were supposed to be able to hang with Poland, and they destroyed us. It wasn't. It was 2-0. It might as well have been 10-0.
Correct.
We didn't possess the ball, and things have changed. We've now, we do have talent. We can possess the ball against quality soccer nations and have a little control. You can't be making stupid, selfish plays, and then on top of making stupid, selfish plays, you don't change the style in which you're playing. All you had to do is get a draw. But they attempted to essentially play 10-11 the same way they were playing 11-11.
U.S. got a player kicked out somewhere. I think the foul occurred in the 16th minute, but they didn't kick him out till the 18th minute. And so we had to play the rest of the match shorthanded. Turns out Panama got a guy kicked out in the 88th minute. There was 5 minutes of stoppage time. So we had 7 minutes of 10-on-10, but we played 70 minutes shorthanded. And in that time, we got outscored 2-1, and we lost 2-1. And now we're in a pickle. And this is what? Third biggest tournament we play in? World Cup, Olympics, Copa America?
Boy.
I mean, is this our third biggest tournament?
But the Olympics has an age restriction on it.
Yeah, I know. We don't even play these guys.
I think this is the second biggest tournament we play, and I think this is bigger than the Olympics.
Okay. So this is our second biggest tournament. They put us in a group that we should have sailed through. I mean, they gave us Panama and Bolivia. I mean, it should have been us and Uruguay just sailing through. And we've screwed it up yet again.
Again.
And so now we got to beat Uruguay Monday. And if we win, we'll probably advance, even if Panama beats Bolivia, because right now we're 2 goals ahead of them in the tiebreaker. And it doesn't matter that we lost to them head-to-head, because we both have the same record. And if we both win our next match, it just comes down to goal differential. We're 2 ahead of Panama right now. If we were to beat Uruguay, in theory, that puts us 3 ahead. So Panama would have to beat Bolivia by 3.
But Bolivia just got whacked by Uruguay 5-0. So we beat Bolivia 2-0. It's not out of the question that they could win that game 3-0.
It's not. The expectation, though, from the U.S. would be, hey, if we beat Uruguay, okay, we're probably, odds are in our favor, we will advance. But anything short of that, the odds are pretty good. We're not going to advance. So
again, we are good at not advancing.
Yeah, we're really good at it. We're also really good at putting ourselves in a pickle. I mean, how many times in the World Cup does it seem like it comes down to? Was it 2010? Landon Donovan literally scored in stoppage time to get us out of group. If Donovan didn't score in literally the final minute of stoppage time, we're not advancing out of group. We always seem to be right on the precipice in these major tournaments of just getting through to the round of 16, and then we just go away quickly. And so my feeling is good. I don't want to have to deal with this in the World Cup in 2 years. You know what? I'm glad we're dealing with the pressure now, and we put ourselves in this spot. This is like the team that it goes out, like you and I are hockey guys. This is like the Dallas Stars losing the first 2 games in the first round at home to Vegas. Hey, look at yourselves in the mirror, boys. You did this to yourself. Best record in the West, home ice. I just came in here and kicked you twice. It's on you. You know what you got to do? Got to go to Vegas and win. Just suck it up. Go win. And they did. I want the U.S. men's national team to suck up their inner Dallas Stars, Mark. You know what? That's what I want.
Yeah, I'm going to bet on a draw in game 3.
Remember the Nuggets lost the first 2 at home to Minnesota? Went to Minnesota. What'd they do? Won the next 2. It's just, you know what? Go win. Just go win.
Would be great. But now we're playing a nation that we are not as good at. We're not.
No, we're not. No.
Now, the expectation into this tournament, in fact, heard Landon Donovan in an interview yesterday. We can play with any team in this tournament. Well, they're going to have to prove it now.
Right. Yep. And you did it to yourself. No more excuses. Now, I'm tired of cutting these guys a break. We put a lot of time, money, and effort into this whole men's soccer thing, haven't we? Haven't we? Hey, the women just got beat for a couple years by a bunch of teams they're not used to. Do you know we're ranked 5th in the world in women's soccer right now? And do you know what they've done? They've gotten a bunch of young players, and apparently we're really good again. Yeah, that's what you do. Suck it up. Go out, start beating people. Get new guys or gals. Get new coaches. We apparently poached a terrific coach from Europe. Good. Good. We're serious about this.
We've given the impression, David, that we've been serious about this for a long time.
Mark, you're the president of USA Soccer. I'm your VP. I am urging you before the match on Monday, today, over the weekend, whenever, I am urging you to say publicly, people's jobs are on the line if they don't win Monday. Win Monday also. I don't want to skate by with a draw and we get lucky and Bolivia draws Panama. No. I publicly. No. It's time we did this to ourselves. It's time for us to be a soccer nation taken seriously. Because we're not. We're not. We're frauds. And that's
exactly what we are.
That's what I'm urging you to say publicly.
And I think that's what bothers me, David, is that you hit the nail on the head with that assessment. We are frauds. We are continually told how good we are, how that we are now a new soccer nation. We're not. We are what you just said. We are a soccer fraud.
But you know what? Uruguay, not a fraud. Soccer nation. Top 10 soccer program in the world, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hey.
Or at least right there.
I look into the camera and say, well, what do we expect come the World Cup? We expect to get out of group in the World Cup. Who are we going to be playing once we get to the round of 16? Tell me, who are we going to be playing? We're going to be playing the Uruguays of the world. Might even be playing countries that are better. Sports is really simple. You got to beat the really good people, teams, what have you. That's it. You got to beat them at some point. Come on, let's go.
And you can't lose to the bad ones or the average ones. And that's what happened again. Yet we lost to Panama. I don't care that we were a man down. I really don't. That's embarrassing.
It's also embarrassing that we scored a goal a man down and didn't at least get a draw.
Thank you.
So I say enough's enough. That's what I'm urging you to say.
Enough's enough?
That's what I'm urging you to say. You're the president. I'm the VP. I'm the one. I'm in your ear.
And you want me calling people out.
Think about the two of us at the bar last night after, if we were in these roles and we lost to Panama 2-1. think about the two of us at the bar, the stuff I would be urging you to say, you might have fired me at about 11:30 last night.
I don't know. I think I'd have been writing it down at that point. What was that line again? I liked that one.
Here we go. Let's go. Time to get serious. Call them out publicly. Toughen everybody up.
We know that won't happen. They'll
I'd
make
say it
excuses.
publicly. We got to win. Coach is fired. By the way, the kid that got us a red card, we better win Monday. You ain't never going to wear that jersey again. Enough. Enough's enough. We cut you guys every break in the world. Lapdog media covering you. Nobody says anything bad. Enough.
You got that right, too. This is like the golf media, the way USA Soccer's covered. There's no criticism.
So there you go. We're getting tough. Now maybe one day the team will. Miller and Moulton.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to
By the way, we're going to get Schefter.
Yeah, you were saying that when we get back.
Yeah. We'll tape it after our first show back, 10 o'clock that Monday. He's got to plug something. It's a cause. So we'll get that out of the way and then talk a little football.
All right.
I got to admit, man, probably 13 emails. I just, what are you going to ask them? I finally sent an email that said, I'm not being rude. I'm going to write everything out as to who we are, what we're about, blah, blah, blah. Take your time, read it. And then if you still have questions, get back to me. And they got back to me. They still had like 5 questions. I was like, oh my God. But I would say about email number 9, I said to him, I go, you do know we don't care if we get this or not. Okay. You emailed me about the possibility of him coming on the show. I go, but I'm at the point now where I don't care. So you book a day and time or not. We're good either way. I literally said, Mark, we're doing a 4-hour show with or without him. Let me know.
Attaboy.
Well, we are, right?
Yes.
Yes. and besides, you emailed us. You said you wanted to come on. We'd love to have you.
You can try to do it for a bottom of the hour segment?
I don't know. I think we'll just go. I'll be curious by then, how long are we going to get and what have you. So, yeah, I don't know if it'll be a 01 or 38 segment. I told them about, one's 12, one's 15. You tell me what you're thinking, and, I go, we'll do it either way. Happy to have you. He's going to join us on Twitch, too. It's going to be a video thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Tommy Smyth will join us a little more than an hour. We'll get back to this U.S. men's national team falling all over itself once again in a major tournament.
Another disaster.
Oh, the humanity. So Tommy Smyth, a little more than an hour. Talk about us losing to Panama. Getting an early red card and not adjusting and everything. And we're going to say, Tommy, we're frauds. Okay. Are we wrong? Yes or no? And he'll tell the truth.
There's no doubt there.
We haven't had 3 guests on the show who tell the truth more than Tommy Smyth.
If we get him on the air, because I'm going to have to call him first. And when I start talking to Tommy, we may never get the interview on.
Right. I may just be filling a segment and Mark will be having a grand old time. Just hopefully every now and then Mark talks to someone on the phone and leaves his mic on. That's actually what I'm hoping will happen here.
Did that yesterday, didn't I?
You did. But that's okay. If you do it with Tommy Smyth, I'll just stop talking. Now, granted, when he's talking, we won't hear it. But, that's okay. It'll still be better than anything I'm saying.
I realized that after the fact yesterday because I was late for making the call. And now that I'm running the board here, I turned on our microphones instead of just turning on your microphone.
Right. That's all right.
I've got systems around here, David.
That's okay.
I can't react to a red card. That was a red card for me yesterday.
Mark, here's the good thing about being a mediocre show. Our listeners' expectation is not very high. Okay. They're willing to cut us some slack. We're late coming at a break. The machines work. They don't work. Okay. They're willing to go with that. They're like, it's Miller and Moulton. Scale of 1 to 10, it's a 5.5. I mean, what do you expect? Magic numbers, by the way. Huh? 57, 64, 69. Yeah. Never mind. Think about when we come back on the air on Monday, July 8th, what they'll be. Huh? 8 weeks tomorrow, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Dublin. 9 weeks tomorrow, all of your other favorite teams in college playing that weekend. And 10 weeks yesterday, Ravens and Chiefs. Yeah, 57, 64, 69. We're getting you there. Hell, it's 34 to the Hall of Fame game. Once you see helmet and shoulder pads, if you're good, if you can make it from there, we're only 34 days away from that.
I put the Hall of Fame game on just to annoy my daughter. My daughter hates football.
That is so good.
Because it's what Dad watches on the weekends. And not that she wants to spend any time with me. It's just that she doesn't want football on, apparently. But she did make a comment watching the U.S.-Bolivia game at home with her. And she goes, this is almost as boring to watch as football.
Wow.
And she plays soccer.
Wow.
Yeah, she's one of those that plays and doesn't like to watch sports, which doesn't really help Dad, because I was kind of hoping we could find one thing, one sport that we watch together.
Yeah. Sounds like you're going to have to take up gymnastics.
The funny thing is, she doesn't.
The wife want to watch that?
Not really, because the problem there is the wife starts explaining. The mom starts explaining to the daughter what's going on.
Daughter,
why this one's good.
Room. Yeah.
What she needs to be doing with her things.
Okay, Mom. Time to go.
I'm out.
Time to go. Hey, Warren Sharp. We like Warren Sharp. We don't agree with everything. He's a big analytics guy, but he explains a lot of things to us. Tells us, red zone and just all sorts of. He really breaks the NFL down into statistical categories. So he came up with the NFL's best offensive lines. Now, for the longest time, the Eagles were number one. The Eagles are in the top 5 now, but they're not number 1, according to Warren Sharp. Who is, Mark? Best offensive line in the NFL is?
Detroit Lions.
There you go. Now, there's a few teams here that I think all of us are going to go, what? I thought this Warren Sharp was a smart guy. But let's just say Warren Sharp is correct in what he put out yesterday. Lions, best offensive line. Falcons, second best.
Bodes well for one Kirk Cousins, if that's right.
And
they had 0 quarterback play last year. I mean, it was atrocious.
Right. Browns, third. Eagles, fourth. Chiefs, fifth. Not sure about that. I think Mahomes covers for the line personally. Here's the one in which I said, Warren, I think I have to stop paying attention to your list. Sorry. You usually have me at hello, but I think I'm going to have to say goodbye. He ranked the Jets' offensive line the 6th best in the league. Now, I know they've made a lot of improvements this offseason, getting a couple veteran tackles. But that seems high, really high to me. Green Bay 7th, Indy 8th, Bengals 9, Vikings 10. Not sure about that either. But let's go the other way. Let's go teams in the Sunshine State, Mark.
All right.
Okay? Best offensive line in the state is
the Bucks
at 19. Jaguars at 23, Dolphins at 25. The worst offensive line in the league is
Carolina
You know what? Good guess, but no, 21st, apparently.
Okay.
The Giants.
All right.
Giants, Cardinals, Patriots, Seahawks, Cowboys. He has the Cowboys offensive line as the 5th worst in the league. So he has the Jets at 6 and the Cowboys at 28. But here's what interests me. The good teams that we think are good or who had winning records a year ago. Like, first off, he's got the Ravens at 16. So the Ravens offensive line is just average?
Average.
He has the Niners at 17, which is very interesting because there are a lot of people that believe that Trent Williams is elite and the other 4 guys are just guys. And the right side of the line is not even that. There's a lot of people in the NFL that believe that Shanahan and his system and the fact they can do everything to the left is covering up some deficiencies on the line. But the Bucs won their division, won a playoff game, 19. Steelers won 10 games last year, made the playoffs, 20. Bills, 22. Jags.
Well, the Bills, remember, the Bills lost their center, so that's part of the reason of them dropping. They
Here's
couldn't
the
afford
funny
to keep
thing,
him.
though. They lost their center to the Jags, and they're still ranked 1 spot ahead of the Jags. The Dolphins are 25. The Cowboys are 28. The Seahawks won 9 games last year. They're 29. But in terms of bad teams, if you're still looking at the Jets as a bad team based on their record, I mean, they may not be a bad team with Aaron Rodgers, but the Jets are 6. The Colts won 9 games. They're 8. Bengals won 9 games. They're 9. But I mean, in terms of bad teams, the Broncos rank at 11. The Bears,
11, yeah.
The Bears at 12. Really? Doesn't that seem a little high for the Bears O-line?
I think it's improved a lot. I think, he has points next to all of them.
Yep.
There's not much difference between 12 and 14, if you know what I'm saying.
I understand. And he's got, by the way, if you ever subscribe, Sharp Football, he's got his analytics and his explanation. He takes a lot into it. He does. So there's reasoning behind it. You may disagree with it. But I just thought, you and I are big on line play. Really big on line play. That's a football guy whose opinion we respect, whose analysis we respect. He just rated the offensive lines.
Find it fascinating is the Bills and Dolphins so far below where the Jets are. And that could be the difference in that division where teams are very, very close.
If you agree with his analysis. But Miller and Moulton. All right. We'll mix in a little NBA talk when we come back.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here
I can see that, Feeney. That'll do it to you.
Sonny, my understanding is the surface at MetLife is a grass field on top of the turf. They like layer dirt and sand and then put sod on top of it. But they're replacing the surface in 2026 when they're hosting the World Cup. That FIFA insisted on it. And so the turf is coming out and grass is being put back in 2026. The question then will be, will they keep the grass? Because that field's been turf, mostly turf, but it was grass for a while.
My favorite part about the Phil Steele magazine in the top right, not only do they tell you if it's grass or turf, they tell you what kind of grass it is.
I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to enjoy it next week at all, but I hope so.
Well, she'll be asleep a lot.
Not sure. Depends.
Really?
They're only talking. Apparently, sleep is hard. Apparently, getting any sort of comfort level is hard. The legs got to be lifted and elevated. It all depends on how much pain stuff they'll give her, because the pain apparently is tremendous. So.
Oh, we got a guest coming. I got to call him.
You got time. What store, Feeney? No? Okay.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour." Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Tommy Smyth to join us 1 hour from now to talk about the U.S. men's national team falling all over themselves once again in a major competition. Unbelievable. And we'll talk a little NBA draft in the Diamond District bonus hour as well. Talk about the draft as a whole, not just focusing in on, one team, but just the draft as a whole. Just a little pinch, little something before we head on our vacation, which we will do next week. We'll be off next week. We'll be having a best of Miller and Moulton. So on the radio stations or the apps that you listen to us to, that you'll be able to hear us, but we will not be on Twitch next week. Jake Chapman, the radio voice of the Orlando Magic, is kind enough to join us. You can follow Jake on X at Jake Chapman OM. Jake Chapman OM. Jake, it's David and Mark. How you been?
Morning, gentlemen. I've been good. How are you?
Well, we're doing fine. hey, are you guys going to spend money? It's been a while. I mean, you got a couple of guys you could sign to extensions. You got Hartenstein and Klay Thompson rumored to be going to Orlando. Are the Magic going to be spending money, Jake?
It's that time of year, isn't it? I think certainly this summer, as opposed to summers past, there's a desire to. There's been the ability to for a few years now. It's not like the Magic have been up against the luxury tax, and now they have all these different aprons, which get kind of confusing. It just didn't make a ton of sense when you were winning 20 games and when you sort of hit that restart button. Now all of a sudden, with the success of last year, you push the Cavs to 7 in round 1. First time in 5 years you make the postseason, and you feel like you really have something to work with. I think it makes sense, at the very least, to be in all of these different conversations, and that's something that's been a bit of a departure from the last few years. So, are they going to win free agency and throw money around, and all of a sudden you got 4, 5, 6 faces on the team next year that you don't recognize? I doubt it, but I think 1 or 2 guys, veteran guys, who can come in. And the key with all of this is going to be, can you complement Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner and the young core that they have in place, as opposed to kind of coming in and hijacking things? You guys know it's the NBA. And so when you're the big free agent, you get the big payday, and you arrive on the scene. A lot of times you want the ball in your hands, and you want to be able to prove that. And we need guys, yes, who can shoot the basketball, but we need guys who are going to, I think, accentuate and help develop Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner specifically.
Well, the draft obviously just took place. They get the kid from Colorado. Talk about Tristan da Silva and what he brings to the table.
Kind of the same, right? Like, so whereas in summers past, you're driving these 19-year-olds oftentimes, and especially if you're drafting high in the lottery, and if you're not a great team, you just want the guy with the biggest upside, best potential, who's the best player in 4 or 5 years. Tristan da Silva, first of all, when you're picking at 18, you've got to kind of sift through who is there. You don't know how that board is going to fall, but Tristan da Silva is a bit of a different animal there. Just in that this guy is very seasoned. He comes in with 4 years of college basketball with international basketball experience. He's just about everybody, and this isn't just from Jeff Weltman and Anthony Parker in the Magic front office. Anybody who got a good look at this guy said he's one of the smartest players in the draft, if not the smartest player in the draft. So right away, you've got a guy who doesn't have a steep learning curve. He's a good shooter. He's going to be able to come in and play right away as a rotation piece. And yes, there's plenty of development that happens with young players, even if they are 23-year-old rookies. But I think he's going to be a guy who can come in, and there's just not a lot you don't need to give him the basketball, really. You don't need to give him heightened levels of instruction. You don't need to teach him how to be a citizen, how to be an adult. He's going to come in, and he's going to be, I think, an easy kind of plug-and-play option for this team. Big guy, international guy. He's half German, half Brazilian, which I think he's going to play very well. He does have relationships with the Wagner brothers, obviously a huge Brazilian population here in Central Florida. So I think it'll be a fan favorite. I think it'll be a great fit. And I think at 18, to get a guy that you're excited about being able to play right away from day one is pretty rare.
I have to admit, and this is nitpicking, but on paper, from afar, the Magic needs shooting. And for as good as a lot of people, not just you talking him up, a lot of people love da Silva, think he'd be a terrific complimentary guy coming off the bench. He'll know his role and fill it. But on the board for the Magic in the second round was Antonio Reeves, a shooting guard from Kentucky who shot 45% from 3. And they trade the pick to New Orleans, who proceeds to take Reeves. I mean, that's nitpicking here, a mid-second round pick. But, I mean, damn, Jake, you guys need shooting. That guy can shoot.
It's interesting that you bring up Reeves, because Reeves is the guy that we ended up taking and moving into New Orleans. And I liked Reeves coming in because that Kentucky, I don't know if you watched much Kentucky last year. The team was a mess. He's a transfer, and he was one of the only upperclassmen on the team. And of course, Reed Shepherd, Robert Dillingham are both top 8 picks, the two babies from that Kentucky team. And part of the reason the team was a mess, frankly, is because of those guys. They've got a lot of learning and seasoning to do, but they're fantastic talents. I think Houston and Minnesota are both very happy with those two guys, and it'll be 2, 3, 4 years before we know if they're right. Antonio Reeves, we're going to know right away because he is closer to De Silva. He's a bit more of a finished product. He's a really good shooter, but I thought the specialty of his game when I watched him was kind of weaving his way into the paint, getting in closer to the bucket, having the ball in his hand. So I don't know if he would have been, I don't know if he profiles as a spot up, doesn't need the ball in his hands, can just face the floor type shooter. But I'm definitely going to keep an eye on him because I liked him heading into the draft process. And there's always a few of those guys in the second round. I was a big Cam Spencer fan, the kid from Connecticut. I thought was a really underrated piece to that team, and I thought he would help in the second round. You can find those guys, but we'll see. It's kind of been the MO of the front office. Look, roster space right now is a bit of an issue because we're not losing too many guys, and nobody knows exactly how our free agents and, of course, the free agency thing will pan out, period. But we have so much young talent on roster right now. There just aren't a ton of spots. So I kind of had a feeling heading into the draft that that second-round pick would get kicked down the road a little bit. And who knows, maybe in 2030, it ends up being worth it.
Jake, why does it at least seem from the periphery that the European young player is more readily available to play in the league? We're getting all these Europeans drafted. Are they developing players differently? Are they developing them better than we are? Is this an AAU problem? Just why is it that we're seeing this influx of European players, or is it just the fact that the game's so global now?
Yes. The short answer is yes. Almost yes to all of that. And it's actually, Adam Silver talked about it the other day. It's an issue, I think, right now. And it's, I think 10, 15 years ago, it was like you sort of went through and kind of nitpicked a little bit. You guys remember, right? 20 years ago, the knock was European players weren't tough enough to play in our league. I don't think that's the knock anymore. A lot of times it's more apparent when you're talking about bigs because big men are more skilled. Typically internationally, you just think about, all of the communist bloc countries, for crying out loud, with some of the best bigs in the league, the Nurkic's, the Jokic's. You go right on down the line. I think the difference is, and I've been reading into this and listening into this, and it's just, I think, becoming a pretty big issue and topic. I do think AAU has an issue just in that they just play games. It's 2-3 games a day. And I don't know if you guys are part of that scene. I'm not yet. I may be. I've got a young daughter and potentially more kids on the way. It's crazy. They travel. Okay, we're in Gainesville this weekend, and we're going to play 3 games on Saturday and 3 games on Sunday. Well, when are you practicing? Are you practicing ever? Are you practicing fundamentals? Are you practicing free throws? Practicing dribbling? Are you practicing passing? And so I think AAU, and I think AAU does a lot of great things, but I think AAU and the idea that the best way to improve is to just play is really starting to stilt the growth of some of our young players. We need more fundamentally sound young basketball players in this country, no matter how we do it. And in Europe, Victor Wembanyama has a 1 hour, 2 hour pregame ritual that is a whole bunch of dribbling and micing drills and all that good stuff we remember from 7th grade basketball. And it's just a little bit of a cultural difference between the way they're taught and the way we're taught right now. And I think we got to fix it.
Jake, will you be surprised if the Magic don't land at least one impact free agent? They've got the money. They could probably land 2, whether it be starters or a starter and a key guy off the bench. But will you be surprised if Orlando a week from today hasn't had a press conference announcing somebody?
Yeah, I think so. I think it makes most sense this year. There's obviously a lot of different options and a lot of different money, and there's access to more money if you need it. Everything is wide open right now, but I do think at the very least, I think this year we'll try really hard to bring in a few guys. I think we'll be deep in conversations. Again, are you going to go, blow the cap space that you've been saving and the picks for one guy if you're not 100,000% sure that he's the guy that can really sort of put you over the top? We're relatively new to this success thing. And so I think the idea of if you don't get your first and second option, do you really want to spend the same amount of money on the third option? No, maybe it might be smart to sit on your hands. But I would be pretty surprised if we don't bring somebody in. I think some of the names at the top of the list that are getting everybody excited might be a little bit more far-fetched. Just when you start thinking about how many years they might want, how old are they, what kind of what kind of game will they have 2-3 years from now, and what kind of a salary are they going to command right now? Sometimes you're paying for the name a little bit more so than anything else, and I don't think we'll make that mistake. But I do think that there's a lot of different options, very intriguing options on the market this year, and I think it does make sense to pounce this year and get somebody in so that they can kind of grow with Paulo and Franz, rather than, hey, we're ready to win a championship, bring in that one guy who puts you over the top, and then you have to run the risk of maybe him upsetting the apple cart a little bit.
He's Jake Chapman. He's the radio voice of the Orlando Magic. You can follow Jake on X at Jake Chapman OM. Jake Chapman OM. Jake, thanks for your time once again. Have a great 4th of July holiday. Hope next week's a big one for you and the Magic. And we'll check in before camp.
All right, boys. Sounds good. Appreciate it. Have a good summer.
Jake Chapman, radio voice of the Orlando Magic, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. So everybody's trying to put together big twos, big threes, and what have you. Here's my thing. I don't know if Orlando's big two are good enough. Like he keeps talking about, Paulo and Franz Wagner. I don't know if Wagner's good enough.
I don't either. Paulo is.
Like, to me,
you can win with him.
Right.
He's that good.
But, I don't know if I look at Wagner as a Robin. I almost wonder if I'd like somebody else and have him be my third best player. Or am I going to use him along with other assets to go get somebody to pair with Paulo, in which everybody goes, oh, that's a big two. That's a decision. It seems like Orlando's just trying to complement those two, which is great. But are those two good enough in the East going forward? I mean, the two guys in Boston are going to be 27 and 26 next year, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, you could be really good and be banging your head against the wall for the rest of the decade.
It's a tough bar to set, though. I mean, I think you got to first. You have to at least give them a third option, a shooting option, to see how far they can go with what they currently have, and then maybe next year see where you go in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And if it's not there, then you look to maybe making a big change.
And that's why, I mean, you could read between the lines there. Jake was saying, I know everybody's linking Klay Thompson to us. I'm not so sure we're going to go Klay Thompson, because Klay's looking for 4 and 100. And the first digit on Klay has him in his 30s in terms of age. And Orlando may be going, the first 2 years of this may not be bad. Last 2 may not be good. Don't know if we want to go there.
I'm going to have to suck it up and get the Bally's app. I figured that out. I'm getting excited. The Magic are going to be worth watching. The Heat are always entertaining.
Well, the good thing is you won't have to get it until October.
I know. I don't think the Rays are, we'll see if the Rays do something to make it interesting here in the second half. The Marlins certainly won't. But obviously the hockey.
Yep. So you'll need it for, end of September, first week October. You'll have to suck it up. Unless, of course, they strike a deal between now and then. But that doesn't look likely.
Miller and Moulton. Vote on our poll question. It's Mel Brooks' 98th birthday. We're asking you what your favorite Mel Brooks movie is. We hope the 4 that we picked are 4 of your favorites. Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, and History of the World. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. MillerandMoulton.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured.
Hits just keep on coming, huh?
There is water everywhere. Everywhere. $1,800 2 effing days ago.
How quickly are they going to be there?
They're on their way. Sunday, Jay Wright's already said he's done coaching. And I know people very close to him. I believe him. They believe him, I should say. Sonny, I don't think the Knicks necessarily have a big 2. Maybe. But their first 5 might be better than anybody's first 5 collectively. I think that's what they're counting on. That their 3, 4, and 5 are going to be better than everybody's 3, 4, 5. God. DC, I think we'll know about Donovan Mitchell.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And we're halfway home on this Friday. It's the final Friday of June, the final work day for most of us of June. We'll be off next week. Best of Miller and Moulton on all the radio stations and apps that you get us, but we will not be on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. You could watch the show every morning if you're so inclined, but we will not be on Twitch next week.
My son and I may do a hockey draft show on Twitch from the bar in the Keys. No,
I like it. I like it.
I informed him yesterday. I said, you're going to have to miss the draft. He's like, oh my God, because he's flying in tonight. And he was really, apparently, I mean, it's not all drafts, but he has the same affinity for the NHL draft that you do for all drafts.
On the boring scale of 10 being, wow, is this not interesting? People actually watch this. NHL draft, MLB draft.
Really close. I would, because I'm a hockey guy, I would vote slightly higher for the MLB draft because it seems that at least a couple times a decade, there's a can't miss prospect in hockey that we've heard of. Whereas I don't know if you have that in baseball as often. But I could be dead wrong now with the College World Series becoming a bigger thing on television. We're a little more, we know some of these college players a little bit more that get drafted. So it's equally as boring, David.
I am with you that baseball is worse. And here's another reason why. At least the hockey draft, they go to an arena. There's atmosphere. There's thousands of people there. It's like the NFL draft, where on the floor, remember how it used to be when it was at Radio City and what have you, the NFL teams had their own tables and what have you. They still do that in hockey. You literally see the coach and the GM and some scouts are sitting at the table. They walk up with the owner together and they get on stage. All right. And also all the draft picks are there.
And the other side of it is that how nice the hockey draft is. how cordial it is. Every team gets up there before they draft. Every team will get up before the draft and say, thank you to Las Vegas. What a great host city you are. And congratulations to the Florida Panthers this year Stanley Cup champions.
Correct. Every single
team.
one. Yes, we'll do that. It's so nice. It's so Canadian, isn't it?
It really is.
And meanwhile, in baseball, I believe they have the baseball draft in the MLB Network studios in like Fort Lee, New Jersey. And virtually no players attended. Now, with video conferencing and what have you, they hook up with some players and their families and try to have an NFL draft moment of the player who's sitting at home in his living room. But so I'm with you. The MLB draft's the worst. And man, do I love a draft. I mean, I'm not so sure about, Korea and Vietnam, but boy, would I love a draft.
And you're a draft beer guy.
That's right. I'm a draft.
I mean, when it comes down to it, if it's I
Right.
get Miller Lite in a bottle, you get Miller Lite on draft. I mean, we sitting next to one another. That's how it will be ordered.
That is very true. Yes. Uh-huh. I'm a draft beer guy.
You are.
I know. I didn't even think of it. Miller and Moulton on this Friday, lamenting the pickle, the predicament that the U.S. men's national soccer team has put themselves into again. Golly. Can you abandon? I mean, my son-in-law, and I'm not picking on him. And, Sean, if you're watching, hey, you brought this onto yourself. So he was a Xander Schauffele fan. Well, no. You'll understand when I finish the story. You'll understand. So he was to Schauffele the way I was with Phil back in the day. And Phil would, couldn't win a major, kept coming up short, blah, blah, blah. And I stayed with Phil. He bails on Schauffele after the Players' Championship. See, he got tickets. He went to the final round. He's following him around most of the day. He's thinking, my guy's going to win a big tournament. And he played okay on Sunday, but Scheffler tracked him down, shot like a 65 or whatever. Schauffele shot like 70, 71, had a lead, ends up finishing in that three-way tie for second. And my son-in-law said, I can't handle it anymore. And I go, no, he's going to break through. Come on, he's close. Okay, I can't handle it anymore. And he said, no. And I go, so you're done. You're not going to root for him anymore. And he said, no, he switched to Tom Kim. I went, what?
What?
I said, he goes, oh yeah, he's going to be the next big thing.
I worry about this guy sticking through things if he's dumping Xander Schauffele that quickly.
I said, come on, top 10 player in the world. I said, he's going to win. He's still in his mid-20s. Right? You can't be giving up. And not only that, Mark, he's a Sacramento Kings fan.
Right.
And has not abandoned them.
There's a point you can only have so much pain in your life, David.
And I think that's what happened. He's had so much.
The wrong team.
Totally. And so, of course, Schauffele's taking the lead into Sunday at the PGA. And you know me, when you think caring, sympathetic family
right.
member.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Shoulder to cry on. Think David.
You think someone, hey, I'll give you a mulligan.
Right.
It's okay to jump back on the wagon. I won't tell anybody. No. Oh, no. I called him up. I said, don't you dare tell me you're back on the Schauffele train. Don't you dare. Okay. He said, no, I screwed up. This was like Felipe 2 producers ago. Remember, he bailed on the Heat. They lost.
Oh, yeah. After was it the Game 5 loss or whatever it was?
Eastern Conference Finals at home. They lose to the Celtics to go down 3-2. He's like, that's it. They're going to lose. I'm done with them. I can't handle the pain. Can't handle the pain of the Heat? Seriously? Okay. And so then Jimmy Butler goes to Boston, scores like 40 points, and they win. And he tried to come in the next morning and do what? And all's forgiven again, and we said, no. You publicly said you're done. Okay. We told you not to file the papers. You filed the papers. That's it. You're done. And so along those lines, I'm wondering, as most of us listening are American citizens. And so therefore we try to embrace, anyone wearing a jersey that says USA on it. I'm just wondering how many of us are getting to the point in which they go, yeah, I got to admit, when it concerns the men's soccer team, I'm out. I'm done.
What's fascinating with that team, David, is that you were right earlier in the show when I had my little rant. I mocked them and their fans for many a year because they were just wrong. They weren't a quality club. They weren't good enough. There was times that they were ranked wherever they were in the world, and it was an absolute joke. How they achieved these world rankings is beyond me. They hadn't beat anybody.
Weren't we 9th one time? Yes. We were like in the top 10. I mean, is that like the preseason college football poll when they put Notre Dame at 9, just because they're trying to sell magazines?
More along the lines that everybody lost, and it's South Florida cranking their way up into the top 10. And you go, how did this happen? But it wasn't accurate. And now I think that they're more formidable. I was starting to buy into it. And I usually don't buy into the hype. But this Pulisic guy's pretty good. He's someone you watch him play and go, hey, that looks like the strikers on other teams.
He looks like he could play in Europe. And in fact, he does. Okay.
So I'm like, okay, here we go. But the fact of the matter is that for whatever reason, this team can't get out of its own way. And I'm sick of people saying the pressure. The pressure they put on themselves. There's no pressure on the USA team.
Please. Pressure.
No pressure. Play in South America and lose a Copa America. They may kill you.
Pressure. Play for England. Okay. You want pressure. I mean, come on. Pressure. US can't handle pressure. What pressure? Please, we have to educate most of the people that are watching as to who's on the damn team. Pressure. Please. So I'm just wondering, can a team that wears the USA jersey ever underachieve enough, disappoint enough, in which even an American sports fan goes, listen, I'm not going to root for anybody else, but I got to admit, I'm done with you. I'm done wasting my time with you. I'll watch the women. I'll watch the women's basketball team. Quick sidebar, by the way. Caitlin Clark's coach came out after the game yesterday. They lost by 12 in Seattle and said, yeah, she needs to shoot more. I will say she only shot like 9 times last night. 4th most attempts on the team. Anyway, back to the sweater.
We did get a texter it says we're out of our element. Soccer media has been very critical of the coach ever since the World Cup.
Well, the whole Reina controversy and not playing him and why, and then the coach was put on the shelf, and they investigated the whole Reina thing. I don't know. I agree with you there are a lot of U.S. soccer fans that are not a fan of the coach.
But it's not like in other countries where the soccer media is calling for his head every day. And maybe after this tournament, they will.
Well, I do think it's go time. Like if you're running USA Soccer, I mean, this is the last big event before the World Cup. I mean, like you talked about, the Olympics, it's not the same.
No, it's the under 22 or whatever,
right.
24, whatever the age limits are. So it's a different whole setup.
So this is our last biggie before the World Cup. And if we fall on our face, then you got 2 years. You got enough time. If you make the change now, I mean, is this like in golf? Okay, you're thinking about changing your coach, going to a different swing coach here? Don't you think that's where we're at?
Yes, we have to be. If they were upset before and you blow the game against Panama and you were undisciplined, at some point, it's time to move on.
Miller and Moulton. Tommy Smyth in 25 minutes to talk about U.S. men's soccer. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Todd with the Diamond District. I believe in complete transparency. If you're shopping for diamonds in Naples,
We have a lot of towels, and there's more water than there are towels.
Did you shut? Can you shut the water off?
Oh, yeah, that's real easy. We did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those tanks hold a lot of water.
They really do. They do. Yeah. Dead struck, we brought that up earlier. Where I think if Red Auerbach was alive, he would have done it.
Well, the whole thing is that you apparently can't cross Rich Paul. He's that powerful. That's what.
Okay, you're the Celtics. You just won the title. Your whole team's locked up. Okay. I know. And Redwood had publicly said why. He said, well, I'm doing it because LeBron has said bad things about our city and our franchise. And so, yeah.
Nothing for a few years, Brett. This is
Yeah.
going to be appealed. It's going to take a couple years, and no idea what it will do to the future of viewing yet.
By the way, I'm really curious what they're doing with Tim Legler. Tim Legler's contract's up. Scott Van Pelt said goodbye to Tim Legler after Game 5 of the NBA Finals. I think his contract's up like Sunday. And he treated it as if Legs wasn't going to be with the network anymore. Meanwhile, J.J. Redick just left. I mean, are they just going to have Breen and Doris? But they're big into this three-man booth. I mean, they hire Mark Jackson back. I liked Lee Fitting. He liked me, too, a little bit. I don't know if he really liked me a little bit. He was considering me for some things, for a bigger role. So when he got fired, that was not a good day for me. I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, who ESPN's going to put on the broadcast? Are they going to go standard straight-laced broadcaster? Or are they going to, I don't know.
If they go to a 3, or when they go back to a 3.
Yeah. Who are they going to go with?
Where are you going to go?
No, Monty Williams has no personality. I'll tell you this.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Minutes past the hour. Tommy Smyth, soccer expert, formerly of the Four Letter Network, now part of Sirius XM's FC. I think it's 157. Maybe it's 159. I don't know. I should probably get that right. All right. Anyway, he'll be joining us. Talk about the U.S. men's national team in another pickle of their own creation. And I like pickles. Not necessarily this one.
What kind? All?
Almost all. I am willing to put it this way. Have you ever walked into a deli? I'm in a real deli, if you know what I mean. And they got the big tubs of pickles.
Right.
Different kinds. Yeah, I'm in. I'll grab one from every tub. I really will. It's one of the things that bonded my dad and I.
I guess I can't say it. I tried, and it didn't come out. So let's start that again.
Picked a pack of pickled peppers.
Or pickles.
Or whatever. So anyway, I'm in. Okay? I'm in. It was like one of the first things I remember my father and I bonding over. He liked pickles, so did I. It was part of our week. When the few weekends that I spent with them, okay, we'd go to the deli Friday night and we'd grab sandwiches and cold cuts and pickles. Need enough pickles for the weekend.
Tell you right now, and it's a hill I'll die on. A pickle deserves its spot in a Bloody Mary before a piece of celery.
Interesting.
Celery doesn't hold any of the juice. It just it falls off. You still just have a piece of celery. Whereas the pickle spear gets all of that stuff in it.
Curious, though, do you think people Like, do you think people like pickles? I don't think the majority of people like pickles. I think if you line up 100 people and say, do you like pickles? I don't think 50 of them say yes.
You know what?
No,
Time for
you're
a poll
not.
question.
No, come on.
Do you like pickles?
We went the whole week. We missed like 3 out of 5 days this week.
Yeah, but I'm just doing it for my own personal one. It's not the Miller and Moulton account.
Okay. So it's just your personal one?
Yeah.
So that Mark Miller, do you like
pickles?
Okay.
That's
That's pretty simple. And yes, Arch, in our Twitch chat room, there are a lot of pickles. All right. I'm just curious if people would like the taste of the pickle juice in their drink. Like some people don't like, when you go to a deli or you go to a place and they put the slice of pickle on your sandwich, they don't even want the juice from the pickle to like touch the bread of their sandwich. They like treat the pickle like it has the cooties. Like, oh, ooh, you want this? Ooh. And they won't even touch it. They're like, no, you can take it.
No, I mean, you can see it. You go to a Chick-fil-A drive-thru and people will be slinging pickles out the window.
Right.
But I'm with you. I like a dill. I like a sweet pickle. My grandma used to make canned pickles growing up. The sweet and sour pickles. They were delicious.
So, yeah. So the U.S. men's national team, they're in a pickle.
They're in a pickle, and we like pickles.
We, on this show, like pickles, although we're a little tired of the U.S. men's national soccer team seemingly always in a pickle. It seems as if they're always in the jar or in the tub, the big white tubs of pickles that are at those delis. It seems as if the U.S. men's national team they can't even get on the plate. Can we just get on the damn plate? I'm tired of being in the jar. I'm tired of being in the tub. I want to be on a plate. In fact, I want to get to the point where people will actually choose what kind of pickle, it's like choosing, with the U.S. men's national soccer team. How well do you think we're going to do? I don't know. We might be able to win this. That may seem a little high. How about the semis? How about the quarters? So.
All right. Well, there it is. It's up at that Mark Miller. Do you like pickles? I mean, we're going all out today on the show. LeBron James' son gets drafted yesterday. And I know LeBron's a toxic subject for a lot of our listeners that just don't like him. But it is interesting that people are up in arms over the Lakers taking Bronny at 55. Because when you look at someone who's drafted 55th or later, there are only 7 players drafted 55th or later in the 21st century that have appeared in 300 games. He's got basically a 5% chance of making the league for any type of length. And Adrian Wojnarowski did put out yesterday and talked about it. People getting into the nepotism because of LeBron getting his son drafted. You look at the front offices of NBA teams, it happens all the time. So when you look at LeBron being able to dictate it, it's no different than the way he's run this team throughout. I mean, he is the GM. At least we all think the de facto GM. So he has the opportunity to pick whoever it is he wants. And in this case, they pick his kid, who's more than likely not going to make the team. They didn't take him in the first round where you're taking someone's 2-year contract away from them. Because you get 2 years of a guaranteed contract for a rookie deal. Second-round picks don't get that. And I think there would have been a lot of people up in arms if he would have taken the first round. What the point David's made throughout the show is if he were the Celtics, just to stick it to LeBron, he would have drafted Bronny in the one spot before the Lakers did, which would have been fantastic. I don't think he ever plays, and the reason I'm not bothered by it at all is I don't know if he ever plays more than 10, 15 games. I'm sure they're going to get him in a game this year at some point. They'll try to get in the next 2 years so that he can play a game with dad. That's going to happen. But a regular part of the rotation, a regular spot on the roster seems highly unlikely. long-term for Bronny. 21,000's the text line. If you want to chime in on that, Pickles, or our other text question, or other poll question, rather. Mel Brooks' 98th birthday today. So we are asking you what your favorite Mel Brooks movie is. Young Frankenstein, History of the World, Blazing Saddles, and Spaceballs. Blazing Saddles running away with it. Probably not to anyone's surprise, because that's the one movie that, well, they could never make again. But we've Tommy Smyth coming up, talk a little bit more soccer here in a couple of minutes. Good, bad, and ugly, and all that stuff going on in the bonus hour as well. But basically, back to second-round picks. 1/5 of second-round picks that were drafted in the previous 5 to 10 years are still in the league. The other 9 players drafted since 2014 have averaged 20 games in the league. So when you look at Bronny, you're not looking at, basically you're expecting him to play 20 games in the league. That's what the average is for that spot. I don't think that's something that we should be spending a whole lot of time worrying about LeBron with. And I think he gets a lot of heat, and deservedly so on a lot of things. But this one, I'm not as worried about. I do think the irony of someone else drafting him would have been hysterical. I wouldn't have had the guts to do it because, by all accounts, Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, has a lot of power and has a long memory and won't let anybody forget if he's wronged or if his clients are wronged. Seems a very interesting way to run a league when agents are the ones responsible for how things get done. Kind of shows you where that league is in a lot of ways, the powers that the agents and the players have. And that's, the league from Stern to Silver, they've given the power to the players for a long time. And when you give the power to the players, then you give the power to the agents. But free agency starting on Monday. The draft is done. And LeBron and his son are now both Lakers. We will switch gears and talk a little football. The great Tommy Smyth will join us to try to dissect what happened in the Copa America loss to Panama yesterday, what it means for the U.S. going forward. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
East Trail. Locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk a little NBA draft coming up with Bryce Simon at the top of the 9 o'clock hour in the bonus hour. But right now, Tommy Smyth, who has been kind enough to join us over the years, works with SiriusXM FC Soccer, and joins us now on Miller and Moulton. Tommy, good morning. Thanks for your time. How are you this morning?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's a beautiful morning. It's a great morning to be alive, and what more can you ask for?
Well, the U.S. soccer team could ask for a little more this morning, Tommy. That was a devastating loss. They get the red card early in the game, and obviously a loss to Panama was not what was expected, and now they're at the brink of not getting out of group in Copa America.
Well, the problem is that, an awful lot of people who support the U.S. team have no idea what South American soccer is like. When you play South American soccer, it's not the same as playing in CONCACAF. I didn't think particularly that the U.S. had a great chance last night. I mean, we had people come on our show, and they're all talking about how confident they are and what they're going to do and how confident things are. It's no good being confident on the radio. You got to be confident when you get out onto the field. And South American soccer is so much more difficult. I mean, they goad you into getting the yellow card, and then they goad you into getting the red card. That red card should never have come last night. You should never lift your hand to an opponent over his shoulder in a situation like that. What were you going to do? Give him a little bit of a tap on the back of the neck? I mean, you're getting sent off for practically nothing.
Should the U.S. have changed their tactics with the red card early? It seems that they still played an aggressive style. They did get the goal right away, but do you have to go into a defensive shell at that point? How do you react when you get a red card so early in a game, Tommy?
Well, in the situation where you get the red card, you do have to react. But what I was really surprised at was that, the U.S. went ahead after getting the red card. Now you're 1-0 up. You may be a man down, but it's time to park the bus, as they say in soccer. It's time to get everybody back behind the ball. And the U.S. didn't do that. I mean, the amount of possession they allowed the opponents to have last night was absolutely ridiculous. And they were unfortunate in the fact that Turner had to go off the goalkeeper. And that last ball should never have gotten through the goalkeeper's hands. If you're a goalkeeper, the golden rule is if you get your two hands on the ball, you got to stop it. You got to knock it down in front of you. And it leaves the U.S. now in a really bad situation because they have to win on Monday night. And that's they're probably up against who I consider to be the best team that's in Copa America.
Tommy Smyth, SiriusXM, FC soccer analyst. Follow him on X at Tommy Smyth with a Y, ESPN, Tommy Smyth, ESPN. All right, Tommy. Is it fair for me? I'm a casual fan. I'm a big sports fan, but I'm a casual U.S. men's national team fan. But is it fair for me to say, you know what, guys, we give you the benefit of the doubt all the time. Kind of fed up with it. I'm going to treat you like I treat some of my other teams. This predicament is of your doing, and I know you're up against it Monday night, but I don't care. Go win. It's about you got to start beating good teams. How are you ever going to make a run at a World Cup without beating good teams? Tommy, is it unfair for the casual fan like me to say, yeah, I know Monday's going to be hard. I don't care. Suck it up.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. I mean, it's something that really hasn't happened. And as you said, they have been given a lot of leeway for a long time. And, they have good players. There's very good players on this team. I mean, Pulisic is a great player, one of the best players in the world. But you got to have other players around them. And, Balogun last night scored a brilliant goal. I have no idea why the coach took him off. I mean, because if you are looking for another goal and you have a guy on the team that you know can score, why do you take him off? Leave him there. So let him hang out until the 90th minute. He may be tired. He may get lucky. He may get one shot like he did just after the red card, and he sticks the ball in the back of the net. I just don't understand the way of handling the team. And, Rodney Marshall, I work with all the time, he was a great English player. He always says, you never take your goal scorer off. You never take the tip of the spear off because there's always a chance that he is going to score the goal for you. And the US have to suck it up on Monday night. They have to come out with everything. And, when you play, it's not too often, people don't realize this, it's not too often that the US get a chance to play in Copa America. Because Copa America is the Cup of South America. Now, the US have been allowed into it this year. And, it's been an incredible cup with the amount of people that's gone to see the games. 73,000 people at the first game. So they're making an absolute fortune out of it. But now they stand a chance of being knocked out. They were all talking about how are we going to play Colombia? How are we going to play Brazil? You're probably not going to get a chance to play them now. And that was the goal of this thing, was to get yourself out of the group, get yourself in against the top lads in South America and see how you're going to do. Because in 2 years, the World Cup is going to be co-hosted by the US, Mexico, and Canada. So you're going to be playing at home. And the one good thing for the US is they know that they're in the World Cup finals, because you don't have to qualify if you're hosting it. That's about the only good news that's there.
Is there a leadership problem in U.S. soccer, Tommy?
I would say there's probably some kind of a leadership. To show you what I mean, Berhalter supposedly lost the job. Then they spent 6 months on a big search for a manager for the team. And guess who they came back up with? They came back up with Berhalter. Didn't make a whole lot of sense. Why fire him in the first place if you're going to give him the job back 6 months later? And I would say that his job is, you think the weather is hot. And I'll tell you one thing, it's nothing compared to the seat that he's sitting on at the moment, because there will be a lot of long knives out on Monday night if the US don't somehow get out of this group. And I would think that Berhalter would be gone.
Do people want this job? Like around the world, Tommy? Like, are there people around the world that are like, you know what? I don't know if it's a sleeping giant, but with that talent, I can get to the quarters of a World Cup. Let me at that job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there'd be no shortage of managers who would take this job. If you look at the team and consistently, the players who play well are still all there. And, this is a team that there are many managers who would feel they could mold this into a really good team. A team that can get in front, a team that can then hold the lead. And, you look at many of these players now. It used to be in the old days, when we were talking about this, you were never talking about the US players playing outside of the US. Now, there's so many of the US players playing outside of the US. And when you see the teams they're playing and you look through the rosters, there's so many there, the opposition, who are now playing in the US. So it has been reversed. The good US players, Pulisic had a fantastic year with AC Milan, who are one of the best teams in the world. And you just go down the line, most of these lads, 5 or 6 of them, play in the Premier League and playing with good teams and playing well with good teams. So I am sure that there are a lot of managers around the world who would love to get their hands on this team.
What kind of shot do you give them against Uruguay, Tommy?
50-50, because there's 11 men on each side of the ball. But that's about it. Uruguay may be happy enough that they've qualified. Uruguay may say, hey, why should we risk all of our good players? Why should we risk any of our good players? And they could put out any kind of a team against the US. If they put the full team out against the US, as I said, I think Uruguay at the moment are the best team in South America. When you consider that for the qualifications, everybody was surprised the other night when Brazil only drew with Costa Rica 0-0. Problem for Brazil is they're in 6th place in the qualifications. So, the guard has changed in South America. And even Panama. Panama had a great cup the last time and just about it also. So, you look at these players and it's a different game. And I talk about a different game in the sense that it's much more physical than it is in CONCACAF. And the referees let it go. I did Copa America for many years when I was with ESPN. And some of the games I saw, I was absolutely amazed at the things that referees would let go and how physical the players were in it and what could happen after. So, if you're going to play in that competition, and it's an honor to be asked to play in it, because you don't qualify to play in it because you're not a CONCACAF nation. CONCACAF nations are only South American nations. The rest of the Americas are CONMEBOL. And if you get the chance to play in Copa America, you better put your best foot forward. And I don't think the U.S. did. I mean, everybody made such a big deal the other night about them winning the first game. And I said, look, hey, don't be making a big deal out of that. You're after playing what I consider to be the worst team in South America, and you just beat them 2-0. Okay, you had 5 or 6 chances, but you didn't take the chances. And that's what this game is all about. You have to take the chances. If you don't take the chances, you ain't going anywhere.
Tommy Smyth with a Y, Sirius XM FC 157 analyst. If I can go to, Euro 2024 here for a second. When did England start playing like Spain? Honestly, they're boring, just kicking it to one another for 10 minutes side to side. When did England start playing like this?
Well, it's a move up for them. I mean, they were more a direct team. I mean, they just wish they could be as good as Spain. And, the fact that they're playing it back and forth to one another shows you how good they can be, because they are a good team at the moment. And when you look at, would you rather them to play like England are playing, or would you rather see Switzerland playing like Switzerland are playing? England may have many, many more better players, but they ain't doing nothing. I mean, the English team is horrible, absolutely horrible. And then you look at the French team. French team probably considered to be the best team in the world. They haven't scored a goal from play yet. Mbappe scored a goal the other day from a penalty kick. So you got to pick your choices. And when you come up against a guy like Shaqiri on Switzerland, and you see the goal he scored the other night, I call it a corkscrew goal, because the ball turned that many times before it got to the keeper. And that's what you want. You want to win the games. This game has changed a long time ago. It used to be everybody wanted to win the game and win it nice. People don't care how you win now. You just win. You just get it done. There is no such thing as winning nice. I mean, that was always the cry of the Brazilians. Oh, we didn't win nice. We didn't win nice. But when you look at it, see how many World Cups they won. So I think they were fooling people. And the rest of the world has caught up with them now and said, hey, we don't care whether you win nice or not. Just give us a scoreboard at the end of the game, and you have one goal more than the opponents, and that's all they want.
Tommy, got about a minute or so left. Do you think they're a little too stickly with the offsides rule? Like, I saw a goal taken off the other day. The feet were even, but he leaned slightly ahead of the defender. Okay, I mean...
Yeah, you can definitely make it that they are being very pernickety. But the thing about it is, when you go out to play, you know what the offside rule is going to be. You know what you have to do. I mean, if it was a case of that they were springing this and saying, okay, we're going to call that this way, we're going to call it this way. But they're calling it consistency. And I mean, so many people are against VAR. But, I mean, to me, the one thing that you want in any sport is you want to get it right. You don't want to get the wrong call. I mean, we've seen it now. We've seen a few wrong calls in baseball this year. Last year we saw some wrong calls in the NFL. But you want to get it right. And whilst an awful lot of people don't like VAR, and I mean, the goal last night, you're going back a couple of plays and you're looking. It's almost like VAR is put there to take the goals away. Where in this game, we always wanted people that was able to score the goals. And unfortunately, that's the way VAR comes now, that you're going to take the goal away if there's something wrong. But isn't it better to do it that way than have the wrong call? And fellas like us talking about it for 2 weeks after, we were robbed.
Tommy, thanks for the time and the insight. We really appreciate it. Safe travels, all the best, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Thank you very much, guys. Love being on with you. It's great pleasure. And continue to be on the air all the time, and stay cool down there in Florida, because I know it gets a little hot down there. You think it's hot on the field. Nothing like Florida.
That's true, Tommy. Our pitch is every bit as hot as Copa America right now. Tommy Smyth, Sirius XM FC 157. You can still follow him on X, Tommy Smyth with a Y, ESPN, Tommy Smyth with a Y, ESPN. Did you get your fix there?
Oh, yeah. And he's got a leadership problem with the U.S. He's got problems with how they played yesterday. He's didn't take it easy on them at all.
Can we put him in charge of U.S. soccer?
Oh,
I don't mean the coach. I mean to run the whole federation. Knows everybody. He'd get good people in. Let's go. And the pressers would be fantastic.
yes, they would. There's no doubt about that. That'd be the right guy for the press conference. I might be the right guy for the whole thing. Who knows?
Did you hear that goal? Did you hear that goal, Mark? That was a corkscrew goal. It twists so many times till it got to the net.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years?
Telling you right now, I could go for a pickle. I'd go for anything. I'll to try to put pennies in the vending machine. All set with Bryce.
Thanks.
I'm not going out of my way in life to have pickle juice. I like pickles. I mean, I don't mind pickle juice, but I don't drink pickle juice.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us on this final Friday of June. For that matter, it's the final work day of the month. For many of us, it's our final work day of the month. Best of Miller and Moulton all next week. So you can hear us on the radio and all the apps that you listen to us on. You just won't be able to see the show on Twitch. Bryce Simon is kind enough to join us, co-host of the Game Theory podcast. You can follow Bryce on X at Motor City Hoops. Motor City Hoops. Bryce, it's David and Mark again. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you doing? Yeah, we're already through June. I'm a teacher out here, so my summer's already halfway back to going back to school and doing that. But yeah, I had the 2-day NBA draft here, summer league coming up, free agency coming up. So it's a big time for people like me doing NBA content creation here in the off season.
What? Just curious. What grade do you teach?
Yeah, I teach 7th and 8th graders. So it's a very fun age of kids. You know, they're kind of coming into their own. I teach science. Feel like we have more life conversations than science conversations some days. But
well, I'm
curious.
Really
like my kids.
How many of them know your second gig working as an NBA podcaster and doing a lot of NBA work? And how many kids are challenging you about your NBA knowledge on a daily basis?
Yeah, they try to come at me. As you guys know, I cover the Pistons along with NBA drafts, so they like to give me, give me it a little bit whenever the Pistons lose as much as they do. Most of them know. I talk to them about it and let them know, and we have those conversations. And what I found is a lot of them don't watch the NBA as much as they act like they do. We try to have real conversations about some of these things, but I love it. I enjoy, and I'm very blessed to be able to do both things that I do. Obviously, my wife is the rock star, allowing me to be so busy with it.
Well, listen, there's some ground we want to cover here in our remaining moments, but since you do cover the Pistons, I want to ask a question. Like, Langdon's getting high marks from a lot of people. They like the pick. I don't, for this reason. The Pistons don't need to develop any more players. They need good players. They needed them yesterday. How do you pass on the UConn center, okay, when he's there? Even if the kid you've drafted maybe 5 years from now will be a better player. I need good players today. I've won 17 and 14 games the last 2 years. What are we trying to do here?
Yeah, no, it's a fair argument. And I know, I was live with Sam Vecini over on the Game Theory podcast whenever this happened. And my reaction was kind of like yours, like, man, this was not the guy I think they were going to take. I mean, I wanted them to trade back. I was hoping Memphis would want to move up to 5 and Detroit would be able to trade back. This may be my biggest. I've kind of gotten over the floor spacing thing. That they'll have to add floor spacers in free agency. Hopefully, new assistant coach Fred Vinson can hash out some of that. But they are getting to the point where how can you give all of these kids enough playing time, enough development, enough attention, and develop all of them at the same time? I just wonder if this means somebody that was not drafted by Trajan Langdon could be on the move here in the next few weeks or over the off season. Maybe it's not till the deadline, but you're right. I don't know if they all fit together, and I don't know how they all develop together.
Because all the lottery teams seem to be drafting prospects this year. There were some pretty good players. I mean, like the Lakers get the kid from Tennessee. I mean, it looked like there were good players to be had that can contribute right away at the back end of this draft. Is that fair? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, Dalton Connect, the kid at Tennessee, that was one of my biggest steals, I guess, if you were going to ask me steal of the draft or however you want to phrase it. I had him as a top 10 player, I would have loved for him to end up in Detroit. I think the kid, he's obviously older, good body, athletic, can really shoot it. Defensive concerns, no doubt. But I think for the Lakers at 17, he just fell right into their lap. So I do think with some of these picks, teams went a little more upside than what I thought in terms of like the top 8. You talk about Ron Holland at number 5, Tijan Salon at number 6 to the Hornets, and then Minnesota trading all the way up to number 8, kind of mortgaging some future draft. Like, that's the thing, 30 and 31. They, San Antonio controls Minnesota's draft now. They move all the way up to 8 to draft Rob Dillingham.
But they did moves for today and tomorrow, if you know what I mean. They got Dillingham, then the kid they took late in the first round. They had no bench scoring. They just drafted 2 guys that they think will be able to step into the NBA immediately and give them 8 to 10 points a game off the bench. I mean, the T-Wolves have never made the NBA Finals. They've only made the conference finals twice. You can't blame the T-Wolves for mortgaging the future, can you?
No, listen, I had Rob Dillingham lower on my board, but if he was going to go to a team, a lot of people talked about San Antonio and made sense with Victor protecting him defensively and those type of things. All I was saying is we saw teams go for upside a little bit more than what I thought. I thought teams may keep it a little bit safer since this wasn't a huge upside draft, but we saw some of the guys that do have that go ahead and go in the top 10. No, I actually like the Dillingham pick from Minnesota because the kid can score. I have concerns about his size defensively for sure, but if there's a team that can insulate him defensively, it is definitely the Timberwolves. And then, yes, Terrence Shannon Jr., kid out of Illinois, a little bit older, real explosive, real athletic, can score. Again, defensive concerns, maybe some field concerns, but those 2 guys, maybe you can just come in and get them some buckets. Maybe if it even doesn't translate to the playoffs, I don't know that it will for rookies, but definitely in the regular season to help them maybe secure the number 1 seed and make that path a little bit easier to get where they want to go.
Talk to me about the Heat. They get the big guy from Indiana. Your thoughts on him, and then Larson, their 2nd round pick.
Yeah, so Khalil Ware is a real interesting prospect. If anybody, if you want to buy into the Heat culture and that they're able to get the best out of people, this is a great spot for Khalil Ware. He's big, he's athletic, he can move, and there's some real potential skill set stuff with Khalil Ware. The thing with him was, how intense does he play? I hate kind of saying the motor thing, but I guess that's really what it was, even going back to high school. And so can he go into Miami and can they teach him those things, those habits that really help him find himself be the best? But they needed, this is something they needed, I think, was, a backup big, potential to stretch the floor. Pella Larson, the kid out of Arizona in the 2nd round, interesting player. I think he does a lot of things well. I don't know that he does anything great. Interested to see if he can increase his shooting from 3-point volume, and maybe that becomes his elite skill. And then I'll give you a couple names as undrafted free agents. Keyshawn Johnson, they got as an undrafted free agent. I thought he was a guy that get drafted in the 2nd round. Older player, really looks like an NBA-ready forward. Maybe he does some stuff. And then Zion Pullen, another undrafted free agent. I think for him, it's not like he's going to come in and play, but just go run the G League. He's a guy I brought up. Go run your G League program, help things develop down there. I like what Miami did overall, but really the thing here is, does Khalil Ware kind of hit his ceiling and his real potential down there in Miami?
Bryce Simon, co-host of the Game Theory Podcast. The Game Theory Podcast, you can follow Bryce on X at Motor City Hoops. Motor City Hoops. All right, Zach Edey, a lot higher than I thought he was going to be taken. Got to admit, I saw him play in person once last year. He played against a D1 team that was not very good, and they picked and rolled him to death for a 5-minute stretch. And I thought to myself, how in the world is he going to play in the association? Zach Edey at 9 to Memphis. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that was, I talked about Dalton Knecht being a quote-unquote faller. Zach Edey would be one of my biggest risers, I guess, if you want to. I had him 20 on my board. He goes 9 to Memphis. I think what this really shows is just Memphis pinpoint. I think what Memphis went into the draft, if I had to guess, they said, if Donovan Clingan falls to us, we will take him, but we're not going to trade up to go get him like a lot of us in the content creation world predicted. Yeah, that was, trade up to 5 to Detroit, maybe trade up to 3 to Houston to take Clingan. Either the trade didn't materialize or they just weren't worried about it. They take Edey. I think he's a good fit there. but I don't think that's the only answer at the 5 for the Memphis Grizzlies. Zach Edey, I don't think is going to play 30 minutes a night in the association, not at his size. And someone's, oh, he played a lot of minutes at Purdue. Well, Purdue plays pretty slow. It's not like he was just, and you're right. When he gets to the NBA, teams are going to attack him over and over and over again in ball screen defensively. So I think Memphis has to do something else. I think he can go in and do what they would need him to do for 18 to 22 minutes a night. Jaren Jackson Jr. does a lot of help rim side protection. And then Zach Edey can just be a great screener. But, yeah, I think he's a quality backup big in the NBA, but I don't see a whole lot more outside of that maybe that others do.
All right, Bryce, free agency begins Monday, but we all know in the NBA, these deals, if they're not already done, they'll be done by tomorrow night. What do you expect very early next week? Paul George, rumored to be leaving the Clippers. Will LeBron actually leave the Lakers? It's expected Clay will leave Golden State. I'm just curious, something big that you expect to happen.
Yeah, the Paul George thing is interesting, right? Like Philadelphia all of a sudden isn't interested. Like, is this just a smoke screen? I don't believe any of this stuff we hear people saying anymore. Because you just learned that, as somebody that covers the Pistons get linked to everybody. You know why? Because they have salary cap space. So agents are leaking that their client is going to go play for Detroit to try to up the offer from wherever they want to go. So I think who's the team that makes an all-in move all of a sudden, whether it's for a Paul George? Who's on the trade block that we aren't seeing right now? Who's the team that's ready to make a move, either selling on a player or ready to buy on a player? The Mikal Bridges. I mean, wow. Like, I'm not sure I understand the trade market right now, because that seemed like a crazy haul for Bridges. And so that's probably outside of free agency. I don't know that we're going to get a star, like the free agent class doesn't have a star unless Paul George does hit the market. I don't think LeBron hits the market. Clay's not a crazy needle mover for me. I think it's the trade market right now that I'm really keeping an eye on in terms of who's the next domino that's going to fall and what is it going to take to get these guys, because I was off on my value of even the Caruso-Josh Giddey trade was not what I thought the value for either of those guys was. So I'm interested to see how this trade market value materializes and shakes out. And then I think we'll see teams just kind of round out their rosters. I think that's what we'll see with free agents this summer. Paul George is maybe the biggest star, the biggest name we may see actually sign with a new team.
Bryce Simon, co-host of the Game Theory Podcast. The Game Theory Podcast, follow him on X at Motor City Hoops, Motor City Hoops. Bryce, have a great 4th of July with your family. Enjoy your summer, and we'll catch up before training camp.
Sounds great. Have a great weekend.
Bryce Simon, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. So there you go. We're taking inventory in late June. Soccer, basketball. I was trying to take hockey inventory. Couldn't get a generic hockey guy on to just. By the way, you see where the cup was yesterday?
I did not.
Oh yeah, they're just down by the beach on the streets. Panthers walking around without shirts on, carrying the cup. People not even stopping. You're walking around holding the Stanley Cup, and people just driving right by them.
Absolutely, half of them didn't even know what it was. No, 75% of them didn't even know what it was. Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd, with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, thanks for everything the last hour.
Oh, David. Seriously?
Oh my God. I haven't started drinking at 10 a.m. in a long time.
But you might start today?
I really might. It's so funny. Julie last night said, listen, Friday, if there's anything, you want to do, I can't go with you. So if you want to go somewhere, watch a game, go drinking. I'm like, no. I have to take her up on that offer. You haven't had a mighty nooner in a while. Golly. Her knee's the size of a pineapple. Walking around with a cane and a walker. Got water everywhere. Where's Mount Lebo?
Pittsburgh. My wife's from.
Gotcha.
Oh, he did turn pro. Okay. I did not realize that he turned pro. Yeah, he's a member at St. Clair Country Club. My mother-in-law is a member there. I'd like to play there. Looks like a nice course.
Shipley 1 over through 3 today, Yenzer. He's 4 under, which now has him T25.
How's our kid doing?
Let's see.
He's 1 under through 2.
Yes, he is. 1 over. T118. He's got to get to at least 3 under, though.
Oh, I know.
And it might even be 4 under. Right now, they're projecting the cut at 2 under. I say no way. I say he gets to 3. I think the kid's got to shoot 67.
Agreed.
But it'd be great if he could just post an under par round on the PGA Tour. How great would that? 15! 5'7", $135. Although, let's be honest, how much more does Bhatia weigh than him? Or did I get him confused with the other guy? The one guy's really skinny. I thought it was Bhatia. Or Bhatia.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Kicking it around a little bit on this final Friday of June, our final workday of June. A reminder, best of Miller and Moulton all week next week. And then we'll be back with original content beginning Monday the 8th. And then the only time we're going to be off between
Labor Day,
July 8th and Easter is pretty much holidays.
Right.
Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas. You know, we work Columbus Day. We work the Jewish holidays. We work President's Day. You know,
and this whole
work,
Christmas on a Wednesday thing too really screws things up.
which also makes New Year's on a Wednesday. Right. Yep. Next year it'll be a Thursday, obviously, because leap year this year, so everything got moved by 2. Whenever a day was last year, you had to add 2 this year. But now we're going to go through a little stretch here where it's just so 25. Next year it'll be on a Thursday. Following year it'll be on a Friday. Then it'll be on a Saturday. Then it'll be a Monday. If I'm still with Monday Night Football, I have a feeling we'll have a game.
Absolutely.
Gonna have to wait 4 years, but we'll have a game. So, besides, they might give us a game the year before. No, in the NFL, that's how they roll.
Oh, with the Christmas on a Sunday, you'll be doing one the 26th for sure.
Sure, absolutely. Can't miss that opportunity, right?
What'll be interesting is with Christmas on a Tuesday, they want a Monday Night Football game on the 24th. I would think not, but no, I mean, come on.
It's the NFL, so
They're going to take on Santa.
That's a bad day to have games, especially a night game.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's not the night to have it. So, we'll worry about that down the road. So, with your legal background and my legal background, and mine is Law and Order. Before that, L.A. Law. I was a big fan of L.A. Law in the early 90s. Bunch of beautiful people, well-dressed. What's the problem? What's the problem with this show? So, the judge in this federal case was pretty negative towards the prosecution.
Right.
The winning side of the lawsuit against the NFL. And so the NFL has appealed now to that judge to say, come on, $4.7 billion? Never mind, you're going to triple it because it's federal court. $14 billion just because we put games on Sunday Ticket? DirecTV? Are you serious? So I'm kind of, I have to admit, Mark, I don't think the NFL is going to lose. I think they're going to win on appeal. I think the NFL is going to go, the games are available. What's the problem?
It's a free market society is what I don't get. That they have a service, you can buy it.
If you don't want it, don't pay for it.
There you go.
What I find interesting is that the whole lawsuit came about because of a sports bar. I'm trying to think back 7-9 years when the first lawsuit was 2015, I guess, the Mucky Duck.
That's it.
In San Francisco sued the NFL.
Not the Mucky Duck in Captiva.
No.
Would have been nicer. We could have done a few shows from there. And anytime I get an opportunity to get to Captiva, I'm all in.
So I'm trying to think, what couldn't they get at the sports bar? I mean, don't you sign up and you get everything at the sports bar? I mean,
Well, they do. I think what they're saying is that they didn't want to pay for it, didn't want to pay that much.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, can we just compare this to the other leagues, though? I mean, what have we talked about now for years on this show, Baseball Fan? What do we have? And then I'm a cable customer. Now I've lost Bally's. I lost the Marlins and the Rays. Boom. Never mind these regional channels. There's hockey and basketball associated with it. I'm trying to see, as a fan, and I could be totally naive here, just as a sports fan, baseball, basketball, hockey, football, what games are the easiest to see / most affordable? Because we did the story a month or so ago that, 2 months ago by now, that if you want to watch every NFL game this year, it's going to cost you $850.
Baseball's a few hundred, but that doesn't give you the local games because you still have to pay the local fee.
Well, but also the games, how many blackouts do you have with baseball? You buy the MLB package, you can miss a third of the season. Well, first off, it doesn't give you Game of the Week on Fox. It doesn't give you the whole Friday night Apple TV or whatever it is game. Okay, and you got blackouts.
But you can buy your way around the local blackouts. I mean, you right now, if you wanted the Marlins and the Rays, David, you could spend $20 a month and get the Bally's app. You could.
Okay. Your gut feeling, as somebody who was a satellite customer, at once upon a time was a cable customer, now you're getting your sports via YouTube TV, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And Peacock occasionally, David.
I'm sorry. Can we do that together?
Yeah. Peacock.
So I'm just curious as a sports fan. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, the sport that you think it is easiest / most cost effective to watch your games. I mean, I would argue hockey.
I would say basketball or hockey. ESPN Plus
has all the hockey,
but you still have to have TNT to get some of the games that are on there.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you pretty much everything.
Because apparently, like, baseball was sued many years ago, but first off, they have full antitrust status. And I guess baseball made the argument that, all the games are available. And so the court dismissed it. So now the funny thing is, the NFL, and who knows, maybe the NFL's going to have to pay this $14 billion. But going forward, the NFL is not going to lose any money because they're going to turn around to either their existing clients or new clients. Because if they're going to have to make the Arizona Cardinals LA Rams game available for just people who want to watch the Arizona LA game, even in Des Moines, Iowa, then they're going to have to find like a True TV, like an Ion, a CW, what have you. They're going to make a deal with those channels. And those channels are going to pay. Trust us. Those channels are going to pay the NFL. At the very least, what was DirecTV and now is YouTube is paying the NFL to broadcast all the games. Every game is a price. And the NFL will charge that price to, I guess, 16 games a week?
But essentially the consumer would win.
Yes. At first glance, but then what's going to have to happen? True TV, CW, this, that, and the other thing, they're going to have to charge more. They're going to have to say to the cable companies and all of them, you're going to go, yeah, we're not 38 cents a month, man. We got NFL games 17 weeks a year. No. You're going to pay. You know what you pay ESPN? Yeah, you're going to give us about a third of that. And we ain't paying to be on your cable system anymore. You're paying us.
Or it goes streaming, in which you're going to have to get another streaming service. That would be the way you would have to pay more money as a consumer.
Well, if Sunday Ticket with DirecTV, once again, this is you and I, and our expertise in law is very limited. But what's the difference between DirecTV and streaming? You got to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Well, then what's the difference?
There is no difference. Except for I get a nice multi-view. I can watch 4 games at once, David. It's glorious.
I have to admit, I'm very jealous. I could use that the next week and a half. I really could. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today is the day when. Some final thoughts, a pick or two. All coming up. Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Cataluna. I just got an automatic prescription refill email from Walgreens. and they gave me the prescription number that's being refilled. So I just looked at all my prescriptions, and none of them are that number. So now I have to admit, now I'm intrigued. I mean, I don't think I'm going to take it, but I'm definitely going to stop by to go, so what do you have for me? What's your special today, guys? All right, Mark. I'm opening myself up for this. I probably should keep this to myself. So, you know how, we've been traveling lately, last weekend and what have you, had to stop for gas and went into a 7-Eleven. Now, I do not recommend the food at a 7-Eleven. Okay. I don't think it's good. Certain places, like a Wawa, Buc-ee's, and what have you. Certain places where you can go and you can get gas. It's better than no. Come on, you'd at least acknowledge some places where you get gas is significantly better than others.
Yes.
So we're starving. I got the women in the car. I can't stop when I want to stop and what have you. I have to cater to them, and I'm starving. And so I bought $6.99. I'd never seen it before. It's simply called the American Sub. All right, I'll give it a try. I'm curious. It's not an Italian. It's not a Cuban. All right, the American Sub. It's also a different size roll than I've ever seen them before. Usually it's either big or, this one seemed more like Jimmy John's, seemed more like 2/3 to 3/4. I'm like, huh. It was tolerable. It was. Now, maybe it was because I was about ready to eat the paint off the wall, but it was like ham and turkey.
Do you know how bad it has to be for Moulton to just say it was tolerable?
Well, it was a little better than that, actually. It was ham. It was turkey. It was orange American cheese. I prefer orange to the white/yellow. And even though I'm sure there's no difference in taste. And salami. Huh? Can't just get salami everywhere. I mean, you can at a reputable place, but I don't shop at the reputable places. So the places I go don't normally have salami on a sandwich. The American Sub. I had never seen it before. Mark, I've come across a lot of food before at joints like that.
Deadstroke saying he gets the American from Publix.
I'd never see. Here's another thing. I don't order subs from Publix.
That's
and I know everybody says that's like the greatest thing in the world.
They have good subs.
That's what I've heard.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 minutes until we're done talking. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So our poll question is, who's 98 today?
Mel Brooks.
And so we put 4 of his movies up there and said, in honor of Mel Brooks, let us know of these 4, which one's your favorite. We know your favorite's probably not on the list. Blazing Saddles is winning big. So just vote accordingly. Mark, midway through the show, we went off on a tangent. I know that's going to surprise many of you. And on just, that Mark Miller, right? It's just on your site.
That's just on mine, yes. I mean, you're please retweet it.
I am. I'll do it right now. Tell everybody on your site the question that you need answered.
Do you like pickles? And right now, David, to your surprise, 73% of our audience, 73+% of our audience likes pickles.
I am shocked. I'm shocked. Maybe men like pickles and women don't. Because when I'm out eating and the pickle ends up on a plate, or, oh my goodness, please take it off my plate.
We're a pickle family. Wife likes pickles. Daughter likes pickles. I like pickles. Mom likes pickles. I don't know if my mother-in-law likes pickles.
Okay. So I will retweet your your question. Do you like
Mom
pickles?
Moulton, yes or no on pickles?
And by the way, I think it's she's a yes. Yeah. You can't grow up in the Northeast and not be a yes on pickles. I mean, with all the delis you go to and what have you, you can't. Plus, I think they put us, on the hamburgers and what have you. They put them on. You got to be a yes on the pickles if you grow up in the Northeast.
Well, it's also for the amount of fast food that the two of you have consumed. Not a lot of places are Burger King where special orders don't upset us. I mean,
Right.
You're going through these places, they're handing you a burger. You're not, and I know you, David. You're not going to take the time to take it off. You're just going to eat it.
Well, right. I'm going there and I know they have pickles. Why am I going to go there and say, hold on, I must take a few of the ingredients off the Whopper? No. It's what you're getting. Just eat it.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Bad day in 1914, David. Franz Ferdinand, the Archduke of Austria, is assassinated.
Uh-oh. You think that was a bad day? Wait to see what followed for the next 5 years.
Right. Would lead to the beginning of World War I.
The war to end all wars, which wasn't the case. False advertising again.
Today in 57, Major League Baseball's commissioner overruled fan voting for the All-Star game. The folks in Cincinnati stuffed the ballot. The commissioner said, yeah, I don't care what you did. Musial, Aaron, and Mays are playing in the All-Star game.
Good for the commish.
Today in 71, the U.S. Supreme Court overturns Ali's draft conviction. For you Florida Panthers fans, it was today in 94 that Ed Jovanowski was taken first overall by the Florida Panthers.
He was a good player.
He's a really good player.
But you're on a bad team most of the time, except for the one run, and you get labeled. He was a good player.
Jobocop.
Yeah.
Greg Oden was drafted by the Trailblazers first overall today in 2007. Oh, and I missed my arrow. I missed the biggie. 1997. Tyson takes a chunk out of Holyfield's ear.
Do you remember where you were?
I was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was actually with my first wife at a party with a bunch of Carolina Hurricanes employees. We went to their house, had a sales to watch the game or to watch the fight. And my wife had Holyfield, my ex-wife, but my wife at the time had Holyfield in the third in the pool and won the kitty.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, 97. Wasn't that the summer that the Whalers moved to Raleigh?
That was right when right before I moved here.
Because they played their last game in Hartford in April. And so there you are in late June, you're in Raleigh, and the team had already relocated. John Forsland was in town with you. You just didn't know it. I was in Fargo, by the way, also at a party after work because I was doing weekends at the time, and raced on over and was standing there. And Matt O'Lean yelled out, "He bit him!"
Gilda Radner would have celebrated a birthday today. As we've mentioned throughout the show, the great Mel Brooks is 98 years old. Actress Kathy Bates is 76. John Elway is 64. Actor John Cusack is 58. Elon Musk is 53. And Marvin Jones, great linebacker, 52 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Well, in 72 on this day, Nixon announced if you're drafted, you don't have to go to Vietnam. I'm trying to get us out of that. So you're good. And the Stonewall riots were today in 69. So 55 years ago today, an event that ended up becoming a protest, and they say it was the first of its kind in the LGBTQ community.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Vermont for the good. And this may upset people that it's a good. But in 2018, Gregory Bombard was pulled over for allegedly giving the trooper the middle finger. Bombard denied it. But after he was detained and questioned, he cursed and did give the trooper the finger. The trooper arrested him for disorderly conduct, a charge that was dismissed a year later. He still sued and was given $100,000 in the lawsuit against the Vermont State Police. He won $100,000 in damages, $75,000 in legal fees. So essentially he got $175,000 for flipping off a cop.
Oh, wow. Cops have to hope that story doesn't get out. Okay. Because now you'll have people, people do stupid things anyway, but now you'll have people going, hey, let's give the cop the bird. No, really. If we get arrested, we'll sue. We'll make money.
For the bad, we go to Connecticut, where residents in a Connecticut neighborhood are dealing with an unwelcomed addition because a manure truck rolled over, collided with the car, and spilled its cargo all over the neighborhood. One of the residents said it was literally a waterfall of brown.
Yikes.
And for the ugly, we go to Englewood, Florida, where in Charlotte County, deputies responded to a call of a man trying to steal a car. Deputies say a man called stating that he and his friend saw someone breaking into a car and he could see the back window was smashed out. The suspect, identified as Vladimir Blishev, was seen inside the car. He ran away from the Burger King parking lot where he had smashed the back window out. When deputies arrived, they found his e-bike left behind. There was a silver cup attached containing an alcoholic beverage and ice, along with a full backpack of clothes, an energy drink, a Bud Light, a fresh Burger King order containing 3 double bacon cheeseburgers, and a chicken sandwich. David, you even have to be impressed with that order.
I am, actually. 2 to me is standard, but if you go 3, doubles.
And a chicken sandwich.
Doubles and a chicken sandwich, and not only that, bacon double cheeseburger. So, no. That's a little something for the effort right there.
Vladimir was arrested a short time later, and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, June the 28th, 2024.
So since we're going to be gone for a little bit, like all next week, I don't know if it's ridiculous to do the schedule tonight, but, the Marlins continue their series in Philadelphia. Rays, after a day off, they're hosting the Nats. So, if you're a Rays fan, you're thinking, hey, if we take 2 or 3, we get back to 500 and, for July 1st, and we see where we go from there. Monday, U.S. men's national team, Uruguay. That's when we got to make it happen. Just saying. That's when we got to make it happen. No pressure or anything. 9 o'clock on FS1 Monday night. So, how come we're not on Big Fox?
I'm stunned.
What's going on? Monday night, 9 o'clock.
What would
FS1.
be on Fox on a Monday night that they would be bumping a U.S. soccer match?
Because they've got the other group stage match, Bolivia and Panama, on FS2. Most people don't even know where that is. So, just so you know, we're plus 145 Monday night. A draw is plus 220.
That's what I'd bet on.
Yeah, that's probably not going to help us. Then we need
Bolivia to beat Panama.
Well, or tie them.
Or tie them.
Because we actually own the tiebreaker. Even though they beat us head-to-head, we own the tiebreaker on goal differential. So,
by the way, PGA Tour, David, Miles Russell, the amateur, has birdied 2 of his first 4 holes. He's got it back to even for the tournament. Now he's 104. He's going to have to make a bunch more birdies. We think 3 under is going to be the number when it's all said and done.
Right. We think he's got
it might even be 4. And I'm not joking when I say that.
No, it's the projected cut right now is 2 under.
But that's not accurate.
There's 81 golfers that are 2 under or better. So we think it's
60 that are 3 under or better.
Right. We think it's going to get to 3 at least.
And at least 3. But If you've got ESPN Plus, he's worth a watch. 15-year-old Miles Russell, who had a double bogey in his round, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys, and a double yesterday, has birdied 2 of his first 4 today to get off to a great start at the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You got to figure I had to be a little nervous yesterday, right? Man, I know
Some of his shots around the greens that he missed. If he was nervous, man, it didn't show in his hands. Kid had some touch around the greens.
So not only that, Mark, he birdied holes he didn't birdie yesterday. Also. So off to a good start. That's great to see. He's still got 3 par 5s ahead of him.
It's
here.
just avoiding a bad hole. That's what it is.
Right. Look at me talking like it's easy. 15-year-old kid in a PGA Tour event. Come on, kid. Just, par everything and birdie the par 5s. Come on now.
And I've got the play-by-play. He stiffed one on the par 3 fifth, so we'll see if he makes the putt from inside of 10 feet.
Oh, that'd be great.
What a
that
story.
Would be great.
What
right
a
now,
story.
Right now, he's tied with a guy who won the U.S. Open, Gary Woodland. 15-year-old kid who's 5'7", a $135, and at Jacksonville Beach.
He's one up on Molinari as well, just for what it's worth.
Open champion, whatever. Oh, that's great to see. So doesn't Wimbledon get underway Monday? And I think Djokovic's playing after all. He tested it out. I think he did a practice with Sinner, and I think he's going to try to play. So, hey, listen, don't know. I don't know. Right now, Djokovic ever going to win another major? He's 37. And they've caught him. You have to acknowledge they've caught him. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but more because of health than any other reason.
Well, at 37,
I say one more.
You think he's got one more in him?
One more.
Okay.
U.S. Open this year.
No, see, I think that'll be
hard court's too tough for him.
Well, I'm worried about him. I think he's for the first time starting to break down, just a smidge.
I just don't think he's healthy enough to win Wimbledon right now. That's
I wouldn't bet on him there. Those are the most forgiving courts. But yeah, I tell you what, if you're going to bet on him anywhere, you got to bet on him in Australia. I mean, he never loses there. So, NHL draft tonight and tomorrow, but first round tonight. Free agency for both hoop and hockey begin Monday. Mark, one of the rare times hockey free agency going to be far more crazy than hoop.
Some big names, and we'll see if teams retain them. You got Stamkos out there. Obviously, that's the big one for Tampa. What are they going to do, and who else could go after him?
Detroit apparently is Yzerman.
He just made 2 trades yesterday to clear up cap space.
Yep. Apparently, Yzerman's waiting. And with that cap room, can he hold on to Kane? Because the Rangers are waiting for Kane.
Well, I think Kane's gone from Detroit because I think they've got their eye on other players. And Stamkos is that player.
Scored 40 goals last year. I know his plus-minus wasn't good. They had to play him too much last year. But he showed in the playoffs. He's still a very good two-way player. He held up just fine against the Panthers. Hey, have a great weekend, 4th of July holiday. Best of Miller and Moulton next week. We'll be back live on the 8th.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need